的靈運行在水面上。神說要有光，就有了光。神看光是好的，就把光暗分開了。神稱光為晝，稱暗為夜，有晚上，有早晨，這是頭一日。神說諸水之間要有空氣，將水分為上下。神就造出空氣，將空氣以下的水、空氣以上的水分開了，事就這樣成了。神稱空氣為天，有晚上，有早晨，這是第二日。神說天下的水要聚在一處，使旱地露出來，事就這樣成了。神稱旱地為地，稱水的聚處為海。神看着是好的。神說地要發生青草和結種子的菜蔬，並結果子的樹木，各從其類，果子都包着核，事就這樣成了。於是地發生了青草和結種子的菜蔬，各從其類，並結果子的樹木，各從其類，果子都包着核。神看着是好的，有晚上，有早晨，是第三日。神說天上要有光體，可以分晝夜，作記號，定節令、日子、年歲，並要發光在天空，普照在地上。事就這樣成了。於是神造了兩個大光，一大的管晝，小的管夜，又造眾星，就把這些光擺列在天空，普照在地上，管理晝夜，分別明暗。神看着是好的，有晚上，有早晨，這是第四日。神說水要多多滋生有生命的物，要有雀鳥飛在地面以上。天空之中，神就造出大魚和水中所滋生各樣有生命的動物，各從其類，又造出各樣飛鳥，各從其類。神看着是好的。神就賜福給這一切，說滋生繁多，充滿海中的水，雀鳥也要多生在地上。有晚上，有早晨，是第五日。神說地要生出活物來，各從其類，生出昆蟲、野獸，各從其類，事就這樣成了。於是神造出野獸，各從其類，牲畜，各從其類，地上一切昆蟲，各從其類。神看着是好的。神說我們要照着我們的形象，按着我們的樣式造人，使他們管理海裏的魚、空中的鳥、地上的牲畜和全地，並地上所爬的一切昆蟲。神就照着自己的形象造人，乃是照着他的形象造男造女。神就賜福給他們，又對他們說要生養眾多，遍滿地面，治理這地，也要管理海裏的魚、空中的鳥和地上各樣行動的活物。神說看哪，我將遍地上一切結種子的菜蔬和一切樹上所結有核的果子，全賜給你們作食物。至於地上的走獸和空中的飛鳥，並各樣爬在地上有生命的物，我將清早賜給他們作食物。事就這樣成了。神看着一切所做的都甚好，有晚上，有早晨，是第六日。第二章，天地萬物都做齊了，到第七日，神造物的工已經完畢，就在第七日歇了他一切的工，安息了。神賜福給第七日，定為聖日，因為在這日神歇了他一切創造的工，就安息了。創造天地的內力，在耶和華神造天地的日子，乃是這樣：野地還沒有草木，田間的菜蔬還沒有長起來，因為耶和華神還沒有降雨在地上，也沒有人耕地，但有霧氣從地上騰，滋潤遍地。耶和華神就用地上的塵土造人，將生氣吹在他鼻孔裏，他就成了有靈的活人，名叫亞當。耶和華神在東方的以甸立了一個園子，把所造的人安置在那裏。耶和華神使各種的樹從地裏長出來，可以悅人的眼目，其上的果子好作食物。園子當中又有生命樹和分別善惡的樹。 有河從以甸流出來，滋潤那園子。從那裏分為4道，第一道名叫比遜，就是環繞客菲拉全地的，在那裏有金子，並且那地的金子是好的。在那裏又有珍珠和紅瑪瑙。第二道河名叫基訓，就是環繞古實全地的。第三道河名叫底格尼斯，流在亞述的東邊。第四道河就是幼發拉底河。耶和華神將那人安置在伊甸園，使他修理看守。耶和華神吩咐他說：園中各樣樹上的樹木，你可以隨意吃，只是分別善惡樹上的果子，你不可吃，因為你吃的日子必定死。耶和華神說：那人獨居不好，我要為他做一個配偶幫助他。耶和華神用土所造成的野地，各樣走獸和空中各樣飛鳥，都帶到那人面前，看他叫什麼。那人怎樣叫各樣的活物，那就是他的名字。那人便給一切牲畜和空中飛鳥、野地走獸都起了名，只是那人沒有遇見配偶幫助他。耶和華神使他沉睡，他就睡了。於是取下他的一條肋骨，又把肉合起來。耶和華神就用那人身上所取的肋骨做成一個女人，令他到那人跟前。那人說：這是我骨中的骨，肉中的肉，可以稱她為女人，因為她是從男人身上取來的。因此，人要離開父母與妻子聯合，二人成人一體。當時夫妻二人赤身露體，並不羞恥。第3章，耶和華神所造的，唯有蛇比田野一切的活物更狡猾。蛇對女人說：神豈是真說不許你吃園中所有樹上的果子嗎？女人對蛇說：園中樹上的果子我們可以吃，唯有園當中那棵樹上的果子，神曾說你們不可吃，也不可摸，免得你們死。蛇對女人說：你們不一定死，因為神知道你們吃的日子，眼睛就明亮了，你們便如神能知道善惡。於是女人見那棵樹的果子好作食物，也悅人的眼目，且是可喜愛的，能使人有智慧，就摘下果子來吃了，又給她丈夫，她丈夫也吃了。他們二人的眼睛就明亮了，才知道自己是赤身露體，便拿無花果樹的葉子為自己編作裙子。天起了涼風，耶和華神在園中行走，那人和他妻子聽見神的聲音，就藏在園裏的樹木中，躲避耶和華神的面。耶和華神呼喚那人，對他說：你在哪裏？他說：我在園中聽見你的聲音，我就害怕，因為我赤身露體，我便藏了。耶和華說：誰告訴你赤身露體呢？莫非你吃了我吩咐你不可吃的那樹上的果子嗎？那人說：你所賜給我與我同居的女人，她把那樹上的果子給我，我就吃了。耶和華神對女人說：你作的是什麼事呢？女人說：那蛇引誘我，我就吃了。耶和華神對蛇說：你既作了這事，就必受咒詛，比一切的牲畜野獸更甚。你必用肚子行走，終身吃土。我又要叫你和女人彼此為仇，你的後裔和女人的後裔也彼此為仇。女人的後裔要傷你的頭，你要傷她的腳跟。又對女人說：我必多多加增你懷胎的苦楚，你生產兒女必多受苦楚。你必戀慕你丈夫，你丈夫必管轄你。又對亞當說：你既聽從妻子的話，吃了我所吩咐你不可吃的那樹上的果子，地必為你的緣故受咒詛，你必終身勞苦，才能從地裏得吃的。地必給你長出荊棘和蒺藜來，你也要吃田間的菜蔬。你必汗流滿面，才得糊口，直到你歸了土，因為你是從土而出的，你本是塵土，那要歸於塵土。亞當給他妻子起名叫夏娃， 因為她是眾生之母。耶和華神為亞當和他妻子用皮子作衣服給他們穿。耶和華神說：那人已經與我們相似，能知道善惡。現在恐怕他伸手又摘生命樹的果子吃，就永遠活着。耶和華神便打發他出伊甸園去，耕種他所自出之土。於是把他趕出去了，又在伊甸園的東邊安設基路伯和四面轉動發火焰的劍，要把守生命樹的道路。第4章。有一日，那人和他妻子夏娃同房，夏娃就懷孕，生了該隱，便說：耶和華使我得了一個男子，又生了該隱的兄弟亞伯。亞伯是牧羊的，該隱是種地的。有一日，該隱拿地裏的出產為供物獻給耶和華，亞伯也將他羊群中頭生的和羊的脂油獻上。耶和華看中了亞伯和他的供物，只是看不中該隱和他的供物。該隱就大大地發怒，變了面色。耶和華對該隱說：你為什麼發怒呢？你為什麼變了面色呢？你若行得好，豈不蒙悅納？你若行得不好，罪就伏在門前，他必戀慕你，你卻要制服他。該隱與他兄弟亞伯說話，二人正在田間。該隱起來打他兄弟亞伯，把他殺了。耶和華對該隱說：你兄弟亞伯在哪裏？他說：我不知道，我豈是看守我兄弟的嗎？耶和華說：你作了什麼事呢？你兄弟的血有聲音從地裏向我哀告，地開了口，從你手裏接受你兄弟的血。現在你必從這地受咒詛，你種地，地不再給你效力，你必流離飄蕩在地上。該隱對耶和華說：我的刑罰太重，過於我所能當的。你如今趕逐我離開這地，以致不見你面，我必流離飄蕩在地上。凡遇見我的，必殺我。耶和華對他說：凡殺該隱的，必遭報7倍。耶和華就給該隱立一個記號，免得人遇見他就殺他。於是該隱離開耶和華的面，去住在伊甸東邊挪得之地。該隱與妻子同房，他妻子就懷孕，生了以諾。該隱建造了一座城，就按着他兒子的命，將那城叫做以諾。以諾生以拿，以拿生米戶雅利，米戶雅利生馬土撒利，馬土撒利生拉麥，拉麥娶了2個妻，一個名叫雅大，一個名叫洗拉。雅大生亞伯，亞伯就是住帳棚牧養牲畜之人的始祖。亞伯的兄弟名叫猶伯，他是一切彈琴吹笛之人的祖師。洗拉又生了土伯該隱，他是打造各樣銅鐵利器的。土伯該隱的妹子是拿瑪。阿們。
Genesis chapter 4, verse 23. Then Lamech said to his wives, Adah and Zillah, hear my voice. Wives of Lamech, listen to my speech. For I have killed a man for wounding me, even a young man for hurting me. If Cain shall be avenged sevenfold, then Lamech 77-fold. And Adam knew his wife again, and she bore a son and named him Seth. For God has appointed another seed for me instead of Abel, whom Cain killed. And as for Seth, to him also a son was born, and he named him Enosh. Then men began to call on the name of the Lord. This is the book of the genealogy of Adam. In the day that God created man, he made him in the likeness of God. He created them male and female, and blessed them and called them mankind in the day they were created. And Adam lived 130 years, and he begot a son in his own likeness, after his image, and named him Seth. After he begot Seth, the days of Adam were 800 years, and he had sons and daughters. So all the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died. Seth lived 105 years and begot Enosh. After he begot Enosh, Seth lived 807 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Seth were 912 years, and he died. Enosh lived 90 years and begot Canaan. After he begot Canaan, Enosh lived 815 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Enosh were 905 years, and he died. Canaan lived 70 years and begot Mahalalel. After he begot Mahalalel, Canaan lived 840 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Canaan were 910 years, and he died. Mahalalel lived 65 years and begot Jared. After he begot Jared, Mahalalel lived 830 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Mahalalel were 895 years, and he died. Jared lived 162 years and begot Enoch. After he begot Enoch, Jared lived 800 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Jared were 962 years, and he died. Enoch lived 65 years and begot Methuselah. After he begot Methuselah, Enoch walked with God 300 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Enoch were 365 years. And Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. Methuselah lived 187 years and begot Lamech. After he begot Lamech, Methuselah lived 782 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Methuselah were 969 years, and he died. Lamech lived 182 years and had a son, and he called his name Noah, saying, "This one will comfort us concerning our work and the toil of our hands, because of the ground which the Lord had cursed." After he begot Noah, Lamech lived 595 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Lamech were 777 years, and he died. And Noah was 500 years old, and Noah begot Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Chapter 6. Now it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born to them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, and they were beautiful, and they took wives for themselves of all whom they chose. And the Lord said, "My spirit shall not strive with man forever, for he is indeed flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God came in to the daughters of men, and they bore children to them. Those were the mighty men who were of old, men of renown. Then the Lord saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every intent of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And the Lord was sorry that he had made man on the earth, and he was grieved in his heart. So the Lord said, "I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, creeping thing and birds of the air, for I am sorry that I have made them." But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. This is the genealogy of Noah. Noah was a just man, perfect in his generations. Noah walked with God, and Noah begot three sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. The earth was also corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with violence. So God looked upon the earth, and indeed it was corrupt, for all the flesh had corrupted their way on the earth. And God said to Noah, "The end of all flesh has come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them. And behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Make yourself an ark of gopher wood, make rooms in the ark, and cover it inside and outside with pitch. And this is how you shall make it. The length of the ark shall be 300 cubits, its width 50 cubits, and its height 30 cubits. You shall make a window for the ark, and you shall finish it to a cubit from above, and set the door of the ark in its side. You shall make with it lower, second, and third decks. And behold, I myself am bringing flood waters on the earth to destroy from under heaven all flesh, in which is the breath of life. Everything that is on the earth shall die. But I will establish my covenant with you, and you shall go into the ark, you, your sons, your wife, and your sons' wives with you. And of every living thing of all flesh, you shall bring two of every sort into the ark to keep them alive with you. They shall be male and female. Of the birds after their kind, of animals after their kind, and of every creeping thing of the earth after its kind. Two of every kind will come to you to keep them alive. And you shall take for yourself of all food that is eaten, and you shall gather it to yourself, and it shall be food for you and for them. Thus Noah did according to all that God commanded him, so he did. Chapter 7. Then the Lord said to Noah, come into the ark, you and all your household, because I've seen that you are righteous before me in this generation. You shall take with you 7 of every clean animal, a male and his female, 2 each of animals that are unclean, a male and his female, also 7 each of birds of the air, male and female, to keep the species alive on the face of all the earth. For after 7 more days, I will cause it to rain on the earth 40 days and 40 nights, and I will destroy from the face of the earth all living things that I have made. And Noah did according to all that the Lord commanded him. Noah was 600 years old when the flood waters were on the earth. So Noah, with his sons, his wife, and his sons' wives went into the ark because of the waters of the flood. Of clean animals, of animals that are unclean, of birds, and of everything that creeps on the earth, 2 by 2, they went into the ark to Noah, male and female, as God had commanded Noah. And it came to pass after 7 days that the waters of the flood were on the earth in the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, the 17th day of the month. On that day, all the fountains of the great deep were broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened. And the rain was on the earth 40 days and 40 nights. On the very same day, Noah and Noah's sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and Noah's wife and the 3 wives of his sons with them entered the ark. They and every beast after its kind, all cattle after their kind, every creeping thing that creeps on the earth after its kind, and every bird after its kind, every bird of every sort. And they went into the ark to Noah 2 by 2, of all flesh in which is the breath of life. So those that entered, male and female of all flesh, went in as God had commanded him, and the Lord shut him in. Now the flood was on the earth 40 days. The waters increased and lifted up the ark, and it rose high above the earth. The waters prevailed and greatly increased on the earth, and the ark moved about on the surface of the waters. And the waters prevailed exceedingly on the earth, and all the high hills under the whole heaven were covered. The waters prevailed 15 cubits upward, and the mountains were covered. And all flesh died that moved on the earth, birds and cattle and beasts, and every creeping thing that creeps on the earth, and every man. All in whose nostrils was the breath of the spirit of life. All that was on the dry land died. So he destroyed all living things which were on the face of the ground, both men and cattle, creeping thing and bird of the air. They were destroyed from the earth. Only Noah and those who were with him in the ark remained alive. And the waters prevailed on the earth 150 days. Chapter 8. Then God remembered Noah and every living thing and all the animals that were with him in the ark. And God made a wind to pass over the earth, and the waters subsided. The fountains of the deep and the windows of heaven were also stopped, and the rain from heaven was restrained. And the waters receded continually from the earth. At the end of the 150 days, the waters decreased. Then the ark rested in the 7th month, in the 17th day of the month, on the mountains of Ararat. And the waters decreased continually until the 10th month. In the 10th month, on the 1st day of the month, the tops of the mountains were seen. So it came to pass at the end of the 40 days that Noah opened the window of the ark which he had made. Then he sent out a raven, which kept going to and fro until the waters had dried up from the earth. He also sent out from himself a dove to see if the waters had receded from the face of the ground. But the dove found no resting place for the sole of her foot, and returned into the ark to him, for the waters were on the face of the whole earth. So he put out his hand and took her and drew her into the ark to himself. And he waited yet another 7 days, and again he sent the dove out from the ark. Then the dove came to him in the evening, and behold, a freshly plucked olive leaf was in her mouth. And no one knew that the waters had receded from the earth. So he waited yet another 7 days and sent out the dove, which did not return again to him any more. And it came to pass in the 601st year, in the first month, the first day of the month, that the waters were dried up from the earth, and Noah removed the covering of the ark and looked. And indeed, the surface of the ground was dry. And in the second month, on the 27th day of the month, the earth was dry. Then God spoke to Noah, saying, Go out of the ark, you and your wife, and your sons' wives with you. Bring out with you every living thing of all flesh that is with you, birds and cattle, and every creeping thing that creeps on the earth, so that they may abound on the earth and be fruitful and multiply on the earth. So Noah went out, and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives with him. Every animal, every creeping thing, every bird, and whatever creeps on the earth, according to their families, went out of the ark. Then Noah built an altar to the Lord and took of every clean animal and of every clean bird and offered burnt offerings on the altar. And the Lord smelled a soothing aroma. Then the Lord said in his heart, I will never again curse the ground for man's sake, although the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. Nor will I again destroy every living thing as I have done. While the earth remains, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, winter and summer, and day and night shall not cease. Chapter 9. So God blessed Noah and his sons and said to them, Be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. And the fear of you shall the dread of the fear of you and the dread of you shall be on every beast of the earth, on every bird of the air, on all that move on the earth, and all the fish of the sea. They are given into your hand. Every moving thing that lives shall be food for you. I have given you all things, even as the green herbs, but you shall not eat flesh with its life, that is, its blood. Surely, for your lifeblood, I will demand a reckoning. From the hand of every beast, I will require it, and from the hand of man. From the hand of every man's brother, I will require the life of man. Whoever sheds man's blood, by man his blood shall be shed. For in the image of God he made man. And as for you, be fruitful and multiply, bring forth abundantly in the earth and multiply in it. Then God spoke to Noah and to his sons with him, saying, And as for me, behold, I establish my covenant with you and with your descendants after you, and with every living creature that is with you, the birds, the cattle, and every beast of the earth with you, of all that go out of the ark, every beast of the earth. Thus I establish my covenant with you. Never again shall all flesh be cut off by the waters of the flood. Never again shall there be a flood to destroy the earth. And God said, This is a sign of the covenant which I make between me and you, and every living creature that is with you, for perpetual generations. Amen.
Genesis chapter 9, verse 13. I set my rainbow in the cloud, and it shall be for the sign of the covenant between me and the earth. It shall be, when I bring a cloud over the earth, that the rainbow shall be seen in the cloud. And I will remember my covenant, which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh. The waters shall never again become a flood to destroy all flesh. The rainbow shall be in the cloud, and I will look on it to remember the everlasting covenant between God and every living creature of all flesh that is on the earth. And God said to Noah, This is the sign of the covenant which I have established between me and all flesh that is on the earth. Now, the sons of Noah who went out of the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And Ham was the father of Canaan. These three were the sons of Noah and from these the whole earth was populated. And Noah began to be a farmer, and he planted a vineyard. Then he drank of the wine and was drunk and become uncovered in his tent. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father and told his two brothers outside. But Shem and Japheth took a garment, laid it on both their shoulders, and went backward and covered the nakedness of their father. Their faces were turned away, and they did not see their father's nakedness. So Noah awoke from his wine and knew what his younger son had done to him. Then he said, "Cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants, he shall be to his brethren." And he said, "Blessed be the Lord, the God of Shem, and may Canaan be his servant. And may God enlarge Japheth, and may he dwell in the tents of Shem, and may Canaan be his servant." And Noah lived after the flood 350 years. So all the days of Noah were 950 years, and he died. Chapter 10. Now this is the genealogy of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And sons were born to them after the flood. The sons of Japheth were Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshach, and Tyrus. The sons of Gomer were Ashkenaz, Riphath, and Togarmah. The sons of Javan were Elisha, Tarshish, Kittim, and Dudanim. From these, the coastland peoples of the Gentiles were separated into their lands, everyone according to his language, according to their families, into their nations. The sons of Ham were Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. The sons of Cush were Siba, Havilah, Sabta, Ramah, and Sabtaka. And the sons of Ramah were Sheba and Dedan. Cush begot Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one on the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Therefore it is said, like Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, Erech, Akkad, and Calneh in the land of Shinar. From that land he went to Assyria and built Nineveh, Rehoboth, Kala, and Resen, between Nineveh and Kala. That is the principal city. Mizraim begot Ludim, Anamim, Lehabim, Nephtohim, Pathrusim, and Kalsluhim, from whom came the Philistines and Caphtorim. Canaan begot Sidon, his firstborn, and Heth. The Jebusite, the Amorite, and the Girgashite, the Hivite, the Arkite, and the Sinite, the Arvadite, the Zemarite, and the Hamahite. Afterwards, the families of the Canaanites were dispersed. And the borders of the Canaanites were from Sidon as you go towards Gerar, as far as Gaza. Then as you go towards Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, and Zeboim, as far as Lasha. These were the sons of Ham, according to their families, according to their languages, in their lands and in their nations. And children were born also to Shem, and the father of all the children of Eber, the brother of Japheth the elder. The sons of Shem were Elam, Asher, Arphaxad, Lud, and Aram. The sons of Aram were Uz, Hul, Gether, and Mash. Arphaxad begot Selah, and Selah begot Eber. To Eber were born two sons. The name of one was Peleg, for in his days the earth was divided, and his brother's name was Joktan. Joktan begot Almodad, Saleph, Hazarmaveth, Jerah, Hadoram, Uzal, Diklah, Obal, Abimael, Sheba, Ophir, Havilah, and Jobab. All these were the sons of Joktan. And their dwelling place was from Misha as you go towards Sephar, the mountain of the east. These were the sons of Shem, according to the families, according to the languages in their lands, according to their nations. These were the families of the sons of Noah, according to their generations in their nations, and from these the nations were divided on the earth after the flood. Chapter 11. Now the whole earth had one language and one speech. And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. Then they said to one another, "Come, let us make bricks and bake them thoroughly." They had brick for stone, and they had asphalt for mortar. And they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower whose top is in the heavens. Let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered abroad over the face of the whole earth." But the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men had built. And the Lord said, "Indeed, the people are one and they all have one language. And this is what they begin to do. Now, nothing that they propose to do will be withheld from them. Come, let us go down and there confuse their language, that they may not understand one another's speech." So the Lord scattered them abroad from there over the face of all the earth, and they ceased building the city. Therefore, its name is called Babel, because there the Lord confused the language of all the earth, and from there the Lord scattered them abroad over the face of all the earth. This is the genealogy of Shem. Shem was 100 years old and begot Arphaxad 2 years after the flood. After he begot Arphaxad, Shem lived 500 years and begot sons and daughters. Arphaxad lived 35 years and begot Selah. After he begot Selah, Arphaxad lived 403 years and begot sons and daughters. Selah lived 30 years and begot Eber. After he begot Eber, Selah lived 403 years and begot sons and daughters. Eber lived 34 years and begot Peleg. After he begot Peleg, Eber lived 430 years and begot sons and daughters. Peleg lived 30 years and begot Reu. After he begot Reu, Peleg lived 209 years and begot sons and daughters. Reu lived 32 years and begot Serug. After he begot Serug, Reu lived 207 years and begot sons and daughters. Serug lived 30 years and begot Nahor. After he begot Nahor, Serug lived 200 years and begot sons and daughters. Nahor lived 29 years and begot Terah. After he begot Terah, Nahor lived 119 years and begot sons and daughters. Now Terah lived 70 years and begot Abram, Nahor, and Haran. This is the genealogy of Terah. Terah begot Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Haran begot Lot, and Haran died before his father Terah in his native land in Ur of the Chaldeans. Then Abram and Nahor took wives. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah and the father of Iscah. But Sarai was barren. She had no child. And Terah took his son Abram and his grandson Lot, the son of Haran, and his daughter-in-law Sarai, his son Abram's wife. And they went out of them from Ur of the Chaldeans to go to the land of Canaan. And they came to Haran and dwelt there. So the days of Terah was 205 years, and Terah died in Haran. Chapter 12. Now the Lord had said to Abram, "Get out of your family, get out of your country, from your family, and from your father's house, to a land that I will show you. I will make you a great nation. I will bless you and make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse him who curses you. And in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed." So Abram departed as the Lord had spoken to him, and Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years old when he departed from Haran. Then Abram took Sarai his wife and Lot his brother's son, and all their possessions that they had gathered, and the people whom they have acquired in Haran, and they departed to go to the land of Canaan. So they came to the land of Canaan. Abram passed through the land to the place of Shechem, as far as the terebinth tree of Moreh, and the Canaanites were then in the land. Then the Lord appeared to Abram and said, "To your descendants I will give this land." And there he built an altar to the Lord who had appeared to him. And he moved from there to the mountain east of Bethel, and he pitched his tent with Bethel on the west and Ai on the east. There he built an altar to the Lord and called on the name of the Lord. So Abram journeyed, going on still toward the south. Now there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down to Egypt to dwell there, for the famine was severe in the land. And it came to pass, when he was close to entering Egypt, that he said to Sarai his wife, "Indeed, I know that you are a woman of beautiful countenance. Therefore, it will happen when the Egyptians see you that they will say, 'This is his wife,' and they will kill me, but they will let you live. Please say you are my sister, that it may be well with me for your sake, and that I may live because of you." So it was when Abram came into Egypt that the Egyptians saw the woman and that she was very beautiful. The princess of Pharaoh also saw her and commended her to Pharaoh. And the woman was taken to Pharaoh's house. He treated Abram well for her sake. He had sheep, oxen, male donkeys, male and female servants, female donkeys, and camels. But the Lord plagued Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because of Sarai, Abram's wife. And Pharaoh called Abram and said, "What is this you have done to me? Why did you not tell me that she was your wife? Why did you say she is my sister? I might have taken her as my wife. Now therefore, here is your wife. Take her and go your way." So Pharaoh commanded his men concerning him, and they sent him away with his wife and all that he had. Chapter 13. Then Abram went up from Egypt, he and his wife and all that he had, and Lot with him to the south. Abram was very rich in livestock, in silver and in gold. And he went on his journey from the south as far as Bethel, to the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Ai, to the place of the altar which he had made there at first. And there Abram called on the name of the Lord. Lot also, who went with Abram, had flocks and herds and tents. Now the land was not able to support them, that they might dwell together, for their possessions were so great that they could not dwell together. And there was strife between the herdsmen of Abram's livestock and the herdsmen of Lot's livestock. The Canaanites and the Perizzites then dwelt in the land. So Abram said to Lot, "Please let there be no strife between you and me, and between my herdsmen and your herdsmen, for we are brethren. Is not the whole land before you? Please separate from me. If you take the left, then I will go to the right. Or if you go to the right, then I will go to the left." And Lot lifted his eyes and saw all the plain of Jordan, that it was well watered everywhere, before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, like the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt, as you go towards Zoar. Then Lot chose for himself all the plain of Jordan, and Lot journeyed east, and they separated from each other. Abram dwelt in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelt in the cities of the plain and pitched his tent even as far as Sodom. But the men of Sodom were exceedingly wicked and sinful against the Lord. And the Lord said to Abram, after Lot had separated from him, "Lift your eyes now and look from the place where you are, northward, southward, eastward, and westward. And for all the land which you see, I give to you and your descendants forever. And I will make your descendants as the dust of the earth, so that if a man could number the dust of the earth, then your descendants also could be numbered. Arise, walk in the land through its length and its width, for I give it to you." Then Abram moved from his tent and went and dwelt by the terebinth tree of Mamre, which are in Hebron, and built an altar there to the Lord. Amen.
Genesis chapter 14, verse 1. 4 kings, Amraphel of Babylonia, Arioch of Elasar, Chedorlaomer of Elam, and Tidal of Goim, went to war against 5 other kings, Bera of Sodom, Birsha of Gomorrah, Shinab of Admah, Shemember of Zeboim, and the king of Bela or Zor. These 5 kings have formed an alliance and joined forces in the valley of Siddim, which is now the Dead Sea. They had been under the control of Chedorlaomer for 12 years, but in the 13th year they rebelled against him. In the 14th year, Chedorlaomer and his allies came with their armies and defeated the Rephaim in Ashtaroth Karnaim, the Zuzim in Ham, in Emim, in the plain of Kiriathaim, and the Horites and the mountains of Edom, pursuing them as far as El-Paran on the edge of the desert. Then they turned round and came back to Kadesh, then known as En-Mishpat. They conquered all the land of the Amalekites and defeated the Amorites who lived in Hazazon Tamar. Then the kings of Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, Zeboim, and Bela drew up their armies for battle in the valley of Siddim and fought against the kings of Elam, Goim, Babylonia, and Elasah, 5 kings against 4. The valley was full of tar pits, and when the king of Sodom and Gomorrah tried to run away from the battle, they fell into the pits, but the other 3 kings escaped to the mountains. The 4 kings took everything in Sodom and Gomorrah, including the food, and went away. Lot, Abram's nephew, was living in Sodom, so they took him and all his possessions. But a man escaped and reported all this to Abram, the Hebrew, who was living near the sacred trees belonging to the Mamre and Amorite. Mamre and his brothers Eshcol and Aseh were Abram's allies. When Abram heard that his nephew had been captured, he called together all the fighting men in his camp, 318 in all, and pursued the 4 kings all the way to Dan. There he divided his men into groups, attacked the enemy by night, and defeated them. He chased them as far as Hobah, north of Damascus, and recovered the loot that had been taken. He also brought back his nephew Lot and his possessions, together with the woman and other prisoners. When Abram came back from his victory over Chedorlaomer and the other kings, the king of Sodom went out to meet him in the valley of Shaveh, also called the King's Valley. And Melchizedek, who was king of Salem and also a priest of Most High God, brought bread and wine to Abram, blessed him, and said, "May the Most High God, who made heaven and earth, bless Abram. May the Most High God, who gave victory over your enemies, be praised." And Abram gave Melchizedek 1/10 of all the loot he had recovered. The king of Sodom and said to Abram, "Keep the loot, but give me back all my people." Abram answered, "I solemnly swear before the Lord, the Most High God, maker of heaven and earth, that I will not keep anything of yours, not even a thread or a sandal strap. Then you can never say, I am the one who made Abram rich. I will take nothing for myself. I will accept only what my men have used. But let my allies, Anna, Eshcol, and Mamre, take their share." After this, Abram had a vision and heard the Lord say to him, "Do not be afraid, Abram, I will shield you from danger and give you a great reward." But Abram answered, "Sovereign Lord, what good will your reward do me, since I have no children? My only heir is Eleazar of Damascus. You have given me no children, and one of my slaves will inherit my property." Then he heard the Lord speaking to him again. "This slave, Eleazar, will not inherit your property. Your own son will be your heir." The Lord took him outside and said, "Look at the sky and try to count the stars. You will have as many descendants as that." Abram put his trust in the Lord, and because of this, the Lord was pleased with him and accepted him. Then the Lord said to him, "I am the Lord who led you out of Ur in Babylonia to give you this land as your own." But Abram asked, "Sovereign Lord, how can I know that it will be mine?" He answered, "Bring me a cow, a goat, and a ram, each of them 3 years old, and a dove and a pigeon." Abram brought the animals to God, cut them in half, and placed the halves opposite each other in 2 rows. But he did not cut up the birds. Vultures came down on the bodies, but Abram drove them off. When the sun was going down, Abram fell into a deep sleep, and fear and terror came over him. The Lord said to him, Your descendants will be strangers in a foreign land. They will be slaves there and will be treated cruelly for 400 years. But I will punish the nation and enslave them. And when they leave the foreign land, they will take great wealth with them. You yourself will live to a ripe old age, die in peace, and be buried. It will be 4 generations before your descendants come back here, because I will not drive out the Amorites until they become so wicked with that they must be punished. When the sun had set and it was dark, a smoking fire pot and a flaming torch suddenly appeared and passed between the pieces of the animals. Then there the Lord made a covenant with Abram. He said, I promise to give your descendants all this land from the border of Egypt to the river Euphrates, including the land of the Canaanites, Kenizzites, Kedonites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Rephaim, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Girgashites, and the Jebusites. Chapter 16. Abram's wife Sarai had not borne him any children, but she had an Egyptian slave girl named Hagar. And so she said to Abram, The Lord has kept me from having children. Why don't you sleep with my slave girl? Perhaps she can have a child for me. Abram agreed with what Sarai said. So she gave Hagar to him to be his concubine. This happened after Abram had lived in Canaan for 10 years. Abram had intercourse with Hagar, and she became pregnant. When she found out that she was pregnant, she became proud and despised Sarai. Then Sarah said to Abraham, It's your fault that Hagar despises me. I myself gave her to you, and ever since she found out that she was pregnant, she has despised me. May the Lord judge which of us is right, you or me. Abram answered, Very well, she is your slave under your control. Do whatever you want with her. Then Sarai treated Hagar so cruelly that she ran away. The angel of the Lord met Hagar at a spring in the desert on the road to Shur and said, Hagar, slave of Sarai, where have you come from and where are you going? She answered, I'm running away from my mistress. He said, Go back to her and be her slave. Then he said, I will give you so many descendants that no one will be able to count them. You are going to have a son, and you will name him Ishmael, because the Lord has heard your cry of distress. But your son will live like a wild donkey. He'll be against everyone, and everyone will be against him. He will live apart from all his relatives. Hagar asked herself, Have I really sinned God and lived to tell about it? So she called the Lord who had spoken to her a God who sees. That is why the people call the well between Kadesh and Bered the well of the living one who sees me. Hagar bore Abram a son, and he named him Ishmael. Abram was 86 years old at that time. Chapter 17. When Abram was 99 years old, the Lord appeared to him and said, I am the Almighty God. Obey me and always do what is right. I will make my covenant with you and give you many descendants. Abram bowed down with his face touching the ground, and God said, I made this covenant with you. I promise that you will be the ancestor of many nations. Your name will no longer be Abram, but Abraham, because I am making you the ancestor of many nations. I will give you many descendants, and some of them will be kings. You will have so many descendants that they will become nations. I will keep my promise to you and your descendants in future generations as an everlasting covenant. I will be your God and the God of your descendants. I will give to you and to your descendants this land in which you are now a foreigner. The whole land of Canaan will belong to your descendants forever, and I will be their God. God said to Abram, You also must agree to keep the covenant with me, both you and your descendants in future generations. You and your descendants must all agree to circumcise every male among you. From now on, you must circumcise every baby boy when he is 8 days old, including slaves born in your homes and slaves brought from foreigners. This will show that there is a covenant between you and me. Each one must be circumcised, and this will be a physical sign to show that my covenant with you is everlasting. Any male who has not been circumcised will no longer be considered one of my people, because he has not kept the covenant with me. God said to Abraham, You must no longer call your wife Sarai. From now on, her name is Sarah. I will bless her, and I will give you a son by her. I will bless her, and she will become the mother of nations, and there will be kings among her descendants. Abraham bowed down with his face touching the ground, but he began to laugh when he thought, can a man have a child when he is 100 years old? Can Sarah have a child at 90? He asked God, why not let Ishmael be my heir? But God said, no, your wife Sarah will bear you a son, and you will name him Isaac. I will keep my covenant with him and with his descendants forever. It is an everlasting covenant. I have heard your request about Ishmael, so I will bless him and give him many children and many descendants. He will be the father of 12 princes, and I will make a great nation of his descendants. But I will keep my covenant with your son Isaac, who will be born to Sarah about this time next year. When God finished speaking to Abraham, he left. On the same day, Abraham obeyed God and circumcised his son Ishmael and all the other males in his household, including the slaves born in his home and those who had bought. Abraham was 99 years old when he was circumcised, and his son Ishmael was 13. They were both circumcised on the same day together with all the Abraham's slaves. Chapter 18. The Lord appeared to Abraham at the sacred trees of Mamre. As Abraham was sitting at the entrance of his tent during the hottest part of the day, he looked up and saw the 3 men standing there. As soon as he saw them, he ran out to meet them, bowing down with his face touching the ground. He said, sirs, please do not pass by my home without stopping. I'm here to serve you. Let me bring some water for you to wash your feet. You can rest here beneath this tree. I will also bring a bit of food. It will give you strength to continue your journey. You have honored me by coming to my home, so let me serve you. They replied, thank you, we accept. Abraham hurried into the tent and said to Sarah, quick, take a sack of best flour and bake some bread.
Kejadian 18 ayat 7. Kemudian Abraham berlari ke tempat kawalan ternakannya dan membeli seekor anak lembu yang muda dan gemuk. Dia memberikan anak lembu itu kepada orang suruhan yang segera menyiapkannya. Selepas itu, Abraham mengambil sedikit krim, sedikit susu dan daging yang sudah dimasak lalu menghidangkan semua itu kepada tetamunya. Semasa mereka makan, Abraham sendiri melayani mereka di bawah pokok. Kemudian mereka bertanya kepada Abraham, di manakah isterimu Sarah? Di situ, di dalam kemah, jawab Abraham. Satu daripada mereka berkata, 9 bulan lagi aku akan kembali. Pada waktu itu, isterimu Sarah akan mempunyai seorang anak lelaki. Sarah sedang memasang telinga di pintu kemah di belakang tetamu itu. Abraham dan Sarah sudah lanjut usia dan Sarah sudah mati haid. Oleh itu Sarah tertawa dalam hati dan berkata, aku yang sudah tua dan layu begini, mana boleh masih ingin berkesetituran dengan suamiku. Lagipun suamiku sudah tua. Kemudian Tuhan bertanya kepada Abraham, mengapakah Sarah tertawa dan berkata, bolehkah aku melahirkan anak sedangkan aku sudah tua? Adakah sesuatu yang terlalu sukar bagi Tuhan? Sebagaimana yang telah aku firmankan, 9 bulan lagi aku akan kembali ke sini. Pada waktu itu Sarah akan mempunyai seorang anak lelaki. Oleh sebab Sarah takut, dia menafikannya. Saya tidak tertawa, katanya. Tetapi Tuhan menjawab, engkau memang tertawa tadi. Kemudian ketiga-tiga tetamu itu meninggalkan tempat itu lalu pergi ke suatu tempat. Di situ mereka tampak memandang kota Sodom. Abraham mengikut mereka dan menghantar mereka meneruskan perjalanan. Tuhan berfirman dalam hati, aku tidak mahu merahsiakan perkara yang akan aku lakukan daripada Abraham. Keturunannya akan menjadi bangsa yang besar dan berkuasa, dan aku akan memberkati semua bangsa di bumi kerana dia. Aku sudah memilih dia supaya memerintah anak-anak dan keturunannya untuk taat kepadaku dan melakukan hal yang benar dan adil. Jika mereka berbuat demikian, aku akan memenuhi segala janjiku kepada Abraham. Selanjutnya, Tuhan berfirman kepada Abraham, ada satu tuduhan yang berat sekali terhadap penduduk Sodom dan Gomora, dan memang dosa mereka sangat besar. Oleh itu, aku hendak turun ke sana untuk menyiasat sama ada tuduhan yang sudah kudengar itu benar atau tidak. Kemudian 2 daripada tetamu itu berangkat menuju ke Sodom. Tetapi Tuhan tinggal dengan Abraham. Abraham menghampiri Tuhan dan bertanya, benarkah engkau mau membinasakan orang yang tidak bersalah bersama dengan orang yang bersalah? Jika terdapat 50 orang yang tidak bersalah di dalam kota itu, adakah engkau akan memusnahkan seluruh kota itu? Tidakkah engkau akan mengampuni untuk menyelamatkan yang 50 orang itu? Tentu engkau tidak mahu membunuh orang yang tidak bersalah bersama dengan orang yang bersalah. Tentu tidak. Engkau tidak mungkin berbuat demikian. Jika engkau berbuat demikian, orang yang tidak bersalah akan dihukum bersama dengan orang yang bersalah. Itu tidak mungkin. Hakim bagi seluruh bumi tentu bertindak dengan adil. Tuhan menjawab, jika aku mendapati 50 orang yang tidak bersalah di Sodom, aku akan mengampuni seluruh kota itu kerana mereka. Abraham berkata lagi, ampunkanlah kerancanganku kerana tidak berhenti-henti bercakap kepadamu, ya Tuhan. Aku ini hanya manusia yang tidak berhak untuk menyatakan apa-apa pun. Tetapi mungkin hanya terdapat 45 orang yang tidak bersalah dan bukan 50 orang. Adakah engkau memusnahkan seluruh kota itu disebabkan kurang hanya 5 orang? Tuhan menjawab, aku tidak akan memusnahkan kota itu jika aku dapati 40 orang yang tidak bersalah. Abraham berkata lagi, mungkin hanya terdapat 40 orang. Tuhan menjawab, aku tidak akan memusnahkannya jika aku dapati 40 orang. Abraham berkata, ya Tuhan, janganlah muka jika aku bercakap lagi. Bagaimana pula jika terdapat hanya 30 orang? Tuhan berfirman, aku tidak akan melakukannya jika aku mendapati 30 orang. Abraham berkata, ampunkanlah rancanganku kerana tidak berhenti-henti bercakap kepadamu, ya Tuhan. Bagaimana jika hanya ada 20 orang? Tuhan berfirman, aku tidak akan memusnahkan kota itu jika aku dapati 20 orang. Abraham berkata, ya Tuhan, janganlah muka. Aku akan bercakap hanya sekali lagi. Bagaimana pula jika terdapat hanya 10 orang? Tuhan berfirman, aku tidak akan memusnahkannya jika aku dapati 10 orang. Selepas Tuhan berfirman kepada Abraham, Tuhan pergi lalu Abraham pulang ke rumahnya. Kejadian 4:19. Apabila dua malaikat itu tiba di Sodom pada petang itu, Lot sedang duduk di pintu gerbang kota. Sebaik saja dia nampak mereka, dia bangun dan pergi berjumpa dengan mereka. Dia bersujud di hadapan mereka dan berkata, Tuan-tuan, sila singgah di rumah saya. Tuan-tuan dapat membasuh kaki dan bermalam di rumah saya. Jika mahu, esok tuan-tuan dapat bangun awal dan meneruskan perjalanan. Tetapi mereka menjawab, terima kasih. Tetapi kami akan bermalam di sini saja, di padang kota. Lot mendesak mereka. Maka akhirnya mereka masuk bersama dengan dia ke dalam rumahnya. Lot menyediakan makanan lazat dan membakar roti secukupnya. Lalu mereka makan. Sebelum para tetamu itu tidur, orang Sodom mengepung rumah itu. Semua orang lelaki di kota itu, baik yang tua maupun yang muda, berada di situ. Mereka memanggil Lot dan bertanya, di manakah orang yang datang bermalam di rumahmu? Serahkan mereka kepada kami supaya kami dapat bersempurna dengan mereka. Lot keluar dari rumahnya lalu menutup pintu. Dia berkata kepada orang Sodom di situ, saudara-saudara, saya pohon, janganlah lakukan perbuatan sejahat itu. Dengarlah, aku mempunyai 2 orang anak perempuan yang masih tara. Biarkanlah aku serahkan mereka kepada kamu dan kamu boleh melakukan apa saja terhadap mereka. Tetapi jangan apa-apakanlah tetamu saya kerana saya wajib melindungi mereka. Tetapi mereka berkata, pergi engkau orang asing mau mengarahkan kami. Pergi, jika tidak kami akan mengajar engkau lebih berat daripada mereka. Kemudian mereka menolak Lot dan maju untuk memecahkan pintu. Tetapi kedua-dua tetamu itu menghulurkan tangan dan menarik Lot keluar, menarik Lot masuk ke dalam rumah, lalu menutup pintu. Selepas itu mereka memputarkan semua orang yang berada di luar sehingga orang ramai itu tidak dapat mencari pintu rumah. Kedua-dua tetamu itu berkata kepada Lot, jika kamu mempunyai anak lelaki, anak perempuan, menantu dan sanak saudara lain yang tinggal di dalam kota ini, bawalah mereka keluar dari sini kerana kami akan memusnahkan tempat ini. Tuhan sudah mendengar tuduhan-tuduhan berat terhadap penduduk di sini dan dia menghantar kami untuk memusnahkan kota Sodom. Kemudian Lot memberitahu kedua-dua orang pakar menantunya, lekaslah keluar dari sini kerana Tuhan akan memusnahkan tempat ini. Tetapi mereka menyangka Lot bergurau sahaja. Pada waktu subuh, malaikat-malaikat itu mendesak Lot supaya lekas berangkat. Cepatlah, kata mereka, bawalah isterimu dan kedua-dua anak perempuanmu dan pergilah dari sini supaya kamu tidak mati apabila kota ini dimusnahkan. Lot berlambat-lambat tetapi Tuhan mengasihani dia. Oleh itu kedua-dua tetamu itu memegang tangan Lot, isterinya serta kedua-dua anak perempuannya dan membawa mereka keluar kota. Selepas itu satu daripada malaikat itu berkata, lalilah, selamatkanlah dirimu, jangan menoleh dan jangan berhenti di lembah. Lalilah ke pegunungan supaya kamu tidak terbunuh. Tetapi Lot menjawab, janganlah suruh kami lari ke pegunungan. Memang Tuhan sudah banyak menolong saya dan menyelamatkan saya, tetapi pegunungan itu terlalu jauh. Jangan-jangan bencana akan menyusuli saya dan saya akan mati sebelum tiba di sana. Lihat, ada kota kecil yang tidak jauh dari sini. Benarkah saya lari ke sana supaya selamat? Malaikat itu menjawab, baiklah, aku tidak akan memusnahkan kota itu. Cepat, larilah. Aku tidak dapat berbuat apa-apa sebelum kamu sampai ke sana. Oleh sebab Lot menyatakan kota itu kecil, maka kota itu dinamakan Zoar. Matahari sedang terbit ketika Lot tiba di Zoar. Tiba-tiba Tuhan menurunkan hujan belerang yang berapi di atas Sodom dan Gomora. Kedua-dua buah kota itu dimusnahkan, termasuk seluruh lembah dan semua tumbuh-tumbuhan serta penduduk di situ. Tetapi isteri Lot menoleh, lalu dia berubah menjadi tiang garam. Awal pagi esoknya, dengan tergesa-gesa Abraham pergi ke tempat dia berdiri di hadapan Tuhan sehari sebelumnya. Dia memandang ke arah Sodom dan Gomora serta seluruh lembah itu. Lalu nampak kepulan asap naik ke kawasan itu seperti asap dari lelau yang besar. Pada masa Allah memusnahkan kota-kota di lembah tempat Lot tinggal dahulu, Allah ingat akan Abraham dan menolong Lot melarikan diri. Oleh sebab Lot berasa takut tinggal di Zoar, dia bersama dengan kedua-dua anak perempuannya pergi ke pegunungan dan tinggal di dalam gua. Anak perempuan yang sulung berkata kepada adiknya, ayah semakin tua dan tiada seorang pun di seluruh negeri ini yang dapat mengahwini kita supaya kita mempunyai anak. Marilah kita membuat ayah mabuk, lalu kita tidur dengan dia supaya kita mendapat anak daripadanya. Pada malam itu mereka memberi papa mereka minum wine, lalu anak perempuan yang sulung bersetiduran dengan papanya. Tetapi papanya terlalu mabuk sehingga dia tidak tahu akan apa-apa pun yang berlaku. Esoknya, anak perempuan yang sulung berkata kepada adiknya, aku sudah tidur dengan ayah semalam. Pada malam ini kita buat dia mabuk lagi. Kemudian engkau pergi tidur dengan dia supaya kita masing-masing mendapat anak. Demikianlah pada malam itu mereka membuat papa mereka mabuk lagi. Lalu anak perempuan yang bongsu pun pula bersetiduran dengan dia. Sekali lagi Lot menjadi terlalu mabuk sehingga dia tidak tahu akan apa-apa pun yang berlaku. Kemudian kedua-dua anak Lot itu mengandung kerana papa mereka sendiri. Anak perempuan yang sulung melahirkan seorang anak lelaki yang namanya Moab. Dialah yang menjadi nenek moyang bangsa Moab yang ada sekarang. Anak perempuan yang bongsu juga melahirkan seorang anak lelaki yang dinamakan Ben-Ami. Dialah yang menjadi nenek moyang bangsa Amon yang ada sekarang. Kejadian 4:20. Abraham berpindah ke bahagian selatan Kanaan lalu menetap di antara Kades dan Suel. Beberapa lama kemudian semasa dia tinggal di Kades, dia berkata bahawa isterinya Sarah adalah adiknya. Oleh itu, Raja Amalek dari kota Gerar menyuruh utusannya membawa Sarah kepadanya. Pada suatu malam, Allah menampakkan diri kepada Raja Amalek dalam mimpi dan berfirman, engkau akan mati kerana engkau sudah mengambil wanita itu. Dia sudah bersuami. Tetapi Raja Amalek belum lagi menjamah wanita itu. Lalu Raja itu berkata, ya Tuhan, aku tidak bersalah. Adakah Tuhan akan membinasakan aku dan rakyatku? Abraham sendiri berkata bahawa wanita itu adiknya. Dan wanita itu pula berkata bahawa Abraham abangnya. Aku melakukan hal ini dengan hati nurani yang bersih, kerana itu aku tidak bersalah. Allah menjawab dalam mimpi itu, ya, aku tahu bahawa engkau melakukannya dengan hati nurani yang bersih. Oleh itu, aku sudah mencegah engkau daripada berdosa terhadap aku dan tidak membiarkan engkau menjamah wanita itu. Tetapi sekarang, kembalikanlah wanita itu kepada suaminya. Suaminya seorang nabi dan dia akan berdoa untukmu supaya engkau tidak mati. Tetapi jika engkau tidak mengembalikannya, ingat engkau dan segenap rakyatmu akan mati. Awal pagi esoknya, Raja Amalek memanggil semua pegawainya dan memberitahu mereka segala kejadian itu. Mereka sangat ketakutan. Kemudian Raja Amalek memanggil Abraham dan bertanya, apakah yang sudah kamu lakukan terhadap kami? Apakah kesalahan yang sudah Betel lakukan terhadapmu yang menyebabkan engkau mendatangkan bencana ini kepada Betel dan kerajaan Betel? Tidak patut kamu berbuat demikian kepada Betel. Mengapa kamu melakukannya? Abraham menjawab, hamba berfikir bahawa di sini tiada sesiapa pun yang takut kepada Allah, sehingga hamba akan dibunuh oleh orang yang menginginkan isteri hamba. Sebenarnya dia memang adik hamba. Kami satu bapa tetapi berlainan ibu. Kemudian kami berkahwin. Oleh itu, apabila Allah menyuruh hamba keluar dari rumah bapa hamba, lalu mengembara ke negeri asing, hamba berkata kepada isteri hamba, tunjukkanlah kesetiaanmu kepadaku dengan berkata kepada setiap orang bahawa aku ini abangmu. Selepas itu, Raja Amalek mengembalikan Sarah kepada Abraham. Dan pada waktu itu juga dia memberikan hamba, domba dan lembu kepada Abraham. Raja itu bertindak kepada Abraham, inilah seluruh negeri Betel. Tinggallah di sini saja kamu kehendaki. Baginda bertindak kepada Sarah. Betel memberikan 1000 keping perak kepada abangmu sebagai bukti kepada semua orang yang ada bersama-samamu bahawa kamu benar-benar tidak bersalah. Tuhan sudah membuat semua wanita di istana Raja Amalek mandul kerana peristiwa yang berlaku kepada Sarah isteri Abraham. Kemudian Abraham berdoa kepada Allah dan Allah menyembuhkan Raja Amalek, isterinya dan hamba-hamba perempuannya sehingga wanita-wanita itu dapat melahirkan anak lagi. Kejadian 4:21. Tuhan memberkati Sarah sebagaimana yang sudah dijanjikannya. Pada masa yang telah ditentukan Allah, ketika Abraham sudah tua, Sarah mengandung lalu melahirkan seorang anak lelaki. Abraham menamakan anak itu Ishak. Amin.
Chapter 21, verse 4. Then Abraham circumcised his son Isaac when he was 8 days old, as God had commanded him. Now Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born to him, and Sarah said, God has made me laugh, and all who hear will laugh with me. She also said, who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children? For I have borne him a son in his old age. So the child grew and was weaned, and Abraham made a great feast on the same day that Isaac was weaned. And Sarah saw the son of Hagar the Egyptian, whom she had borne to Abraham, scoffing. Therefore she said to Abraham, cast out this bondwoman and her son, for the son of this bondwoman shall not be heir with my son, namely with Isaac. And the matter was very displeasing in Abraham's sight because of his son. But God said to Abraham, do not let it be displeasing in your sight because of the lad or because of your bondwoman. Whatever Sarah has said to you, listen to her voice, for in Isaac your seed shall be called. Yet I will also make a nation of the son of the bondwoman, because he is your seed. So Abraham rose early in the morning and took bread and a skin of water, and putting it on her shoulder, gave it and the boy to Hagar, and sent her away. Then she departed and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba. and the water in the skin was used up. And she placed the boy under one of the shrubs. Then she went and sat down across from him at a distance of about a bowshot, for she said to herself, "Let me not see the death of the boy." So she sat opposite him and lifted her voice and wept. And God heard the voice of the lad. Then the angel of God called Hagar out of heaven and said to her, "What ails you, Hagar? Fear not, for God has heard the voice of the lad where he is. Arise, lift up the lad and hold him with your hand, for I will make him a great nation." Then God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water. And she went and filled the skin with water and gave the lad a drink. So God was with the lad and grew and dwelt in the wilderness and became an usher. He dwelt in the wilderness of Paran, and his mother took a wife for him from the land of Egypt. And it came to pass at that time that Abimelech and Phicol, the commander of the army, spoke to Abraham, saying, "God is with you in all that you do. Now therefore swear to me by God that you will not deal falsely with me, with my offspring, or with my posterity, but that according to the kindness that I have done to you, you will do to me and to the land in which you have dwelt." And Abraham said, "I will swear." Then Abraham rebuilt Abimelech because of a well of water which Abimelech's servants had seized. And Abimelech said, "I do not know who has done this thing. You did not tell me, nor had I heard of it until today." So Abraham took sheep and oxen and gave them to Abimelech, and the two of them made a covenant. And Abraham set 7 ewe lambs of the flock by themselves. Then Abimelech asked Abraham, "What is the meaning of these 7 ewe lambs which you have set by themselves?" And he said, "You will take these 7 ewe lambs from my hand, that they may be my witness that I have dug this well." Therefore he called that place Beersheba, because the two of them swore an oath there. Thus they made a covenant at Beersheba. So Abimelech rose with Phicol, the commander of the army, and they returned to the land of the Philistines. Then Abraham planted a tamarisk tree in Beersheba, and there called on the name of the Lord, the everlasting God. And Abraham stayed in the land of the Philistines many days. Chapter 22. Now it came to pass after these things that God tested Abraham and said to him, "Abraham." And he said, "Here I am." Then he said, "Take now your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains of which I shall tell you." So Abraham rose early in the morning and saddled his donkey and took 2 of his young men with him and Isaac his son. And he split the wood for the burnt offering and arose and went to the place of which God had told him. Then on the 3rd day, Abraham lifted his eyes and saw the place afar off. And Abraham said to his young men, "Stay here with the donkey, the lad, and I will go yonder and worship, and we will come back to you." So Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it on Isaac his son, and he took the fire in his hand and a knife. And the 2 men went together. But Isaac spoke to Abraham his father and said, "My father." And he said, "Here I am, my son." Then he said, "Look, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for a burnt offering?" And Abraham said, "My son, God will provide for himself the lamb for a burnt offering." So the 2 of them went together. Then they came to the place of which God had told him. And Abraham built an altar there and placed the wood in order, and he bound Isaac his son and laid him on the altar upon the wood. And Abraham stretched out his hand and took the knife to slay his son. But the angel of the Lord called to him from heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. So he said, Here I am. And he said, Do not lay your hand on the lad or do anything to him, for now I know that you fear God, since your son, your only son from me. Then Abraham lifted his eyes and looked, and there behind him was a ram caught in a thicket by its horns. So Abraham went and took the ram and offered it up for a burnt offering instead of his son. And place the Lord will provide, as it is said to this day. In the mount of the Lord it shall be provided. Then the angel of the Lord called to Abraham a second time out of heaven and said, By myself I have sworn, says the Lord, because you have done this thing and have not withheld your son, your only son. Blessing I will bless you, and multiplying I will multiply your descendants as the stars of the heaven and as the sand which is on the seashore. And your descendants shall possess the gate of their enemies. In your seed, all the nations of the earth shall be blessed because you have obeyed my voice. So Abraham returned to his young men, and they rose and went together to Beersheba. And Abraham dwelt at Beersheba. Now it came to pass after these things that it was told Abraham, saying, Indeed, Milcah also has borne children to your brother Nahor, who's his firstborn, Buz his brother, Kemuel the father of Aram, Chesed, Hazor, Pildash, Jeulaph, and Bethuel. And Bethuel begot Rebekah. These 8 Milcah bore to Nahor, Abraham's brother. His concubine, whose name was Remuah, also bore Tebah, Gaham, Tahash, and Maacah. Chapter 23. Sarah lived 127 years. These were the years of the life of Sarah. So Sarah died in Kirjath Arba, that is Hebron, in the land of Canaan, and Abraham came to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. Then Abraham stood up from before his dead and spoke to the sons of Heth, saying, I am a foreigner and a visitor among you. Give me property for a burial place among you, that I may bury my dead out of my sight. And the sons of Heth answered Abraham, saying to him, Hear us, my lord, you are a mighty prince among us. Bury your dead in the choicest of our burial places. None of us will withhold from you his burial place, that you may bury your dead. Then Abraham stood up and bowed himself to the people of the land, the sons of Heth. And he spoke with them, saying, If it is your wish that I bury my dead out of my sight, hear me and meet up with Ephron, the son of Zohar, for me, that he may give me the cave of Machpelah, which he has, which is at the end of his field. Let him give it to me at the full price, as property for a burial place among you. Now Ephron dwelt among the sons of Heth, and Ephron the Hittite answered Abraham in the presence of the sons of Heth, all who entered at the gate of his city, saying, No, my lord, hear me. I give you the field and the cave that is in it. I give it to you in the presence of your sons of my people. I give it to you. Bury your dead. Then Abraham bowed himself down before the people of the land, and he spoke to Ephron in the hearing of the people of the land, saying, If you will give it, please hear me. I will give you money for the field. Take it from me, and I will bury my dead there. And Ephron answered Abraham, saying to him, My lord, listen to me. The land is worth 400 shekels of silver. What is that between you and me? So bury your dead. And Abraham listened to Ephron, and Abraham weighed out the silver for Ephron, which he had named in the hearing of the sons of Heth, 400 shekels of silver, currency of the merchants. So the field of Ephron, which was in Machpelah, which was before Mamre, the field and the cave which was in it, and all the trees that were in the field, which were within all the surrounding borders, were deeded to Abraham as a possession in the presence of the sons of Heth before all who went in and at the gate of his city. And after this, Abraham buried Sarah his wife in the cave of the field of Machpelah before Mamre, that is Hebron, in the land of Canaan. So the field and the cave that is in it were deeded to Abraham by the sons of Heth as property for a burial place. Chapter 24. Now Abraham was old, well advanced in age, and the Lord had blessed Abraham in all things. So Abraham said to the oldest servant of his house, who ruled over all that he had, "Please put your hand under my thigh, and I will make you swear by the Lord, the God of heaven and the God of the earth, that you will not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites among whom I dwell. But you shall go to my country and to my family and take a wife for my son Isaac." And the servant said to him, "Perhaps the woman will not be willing to follow me to this land. Must I take your son back to the land from which you came?" But Abraham said to him, "Beware that you do not take my son back there. The Lord God of heaven, who took me from my father's house and from the land of my family, and who spoke to me and swore to me, saying, 'To your descendants I give this land,' he will send his angel before you, and you shall take a wife for my son from there. And if the woman is not willing to follow you, then you be released from this oath. Only do not take my son back there." So the servant put his hand under the thigh of Abraham his master, and swore to him concerning this matter. Then the servant took 10 of his master's camels and departed, for all his master's goods were in his hand. And he arose and went to Mesopotamia, to the city of Nahor. And he made his camels kneel down outside the city by a well of water at evening time, the time when women go out to draw water. Then he said, "O Lord God, O my master Abraham, please give me success this day and show kindness to my master Abraham. Behold, here I stand by the well of water, and the daughters of the men of the city are coming out to draw water. Now let it be that the young woman to whom I say, 'Please let down your pitcher that I may drink,' and she says, 'Drink, and I will also give your camels a drink.' Let her be the one you have appointed for your servant Isaac, and by this I will know that you have shown kindness to my master." And it happened, before he had finished speaking, that, behold, Rebekah, who was born to Bethuel, son of Milcah, the wife of Nahor, Abraham's brother, came out with a pitcher on her shoulder. Now the young woman was very beautiful to behold, a virgin, no man had known her. She went down to the well, filled her pitcher, and came up. And the servant ran to meet her and said, "Please let me drink a little water from your pitcher." Amen.
Genesis chapter 24, verse 18. So she said, "Drink, my lord." And she quickly let her pitcher down to her hand and gave him a drink. And when she had finished giving him a drink, she said, "I will draw water for your camels also until they have finished drinking." Then she quickly emptied her pitcher through the tarot, ran back to the well to draw water, and drew for all his camel. And the man wondering at her remained silent so as to know whether the Lord had made his journey prosperous or not. So it was when the camel had finished drinking, and the man took a golden nose ring weighing half a shekel, and 2 bracelets for her wrist weighing 10 shekels of gold, and said, Whose daughter are you? Tell me, please, is there a room in your father's house for us to lodge? So she said to him, I am the daughter of Bethuel, Milcah's son, whom she bore to Nahor. Moreover, she said to him, we have both straw and feed enough and room to lodge. Then the man bowed down his head and worshipped the Lord. And he said, Blessed be the Lord God of my master Abraham, who has not forsaken his mercy and his truth towards my master. As for me, being on the way, the Lord led me to the house of my master brethren. So the young woman ran and told her mother's household these things. Now Rebekah had a brother whose name was Laban. And Laban ran out to the man by the well. So it came to pass when he saw the nose ring and the bracelet on his sister's wrist, and when he had heard the word of his sister Rebekah saying, Trust the man spoke to me, that he went to the man, and there he stood by the camel and the well. And he said, Come in, oh blessed the Lord. Why do you stand outside? For I prepared the house and a place for the camels. And the man came to the house, he unloaded the camels and provided straws and feed for the camels, and water to wash his feet and the feet of the men who were with him. Food was set before him to eat, but he said, I will not eat until I have told you about my errand. And he said, Speak on. And he said, I am Abraham's servant. The Lord has blessed my master greatly, and he has become great. And he has given him flocks and herds, silver and gold, male and female servants, and the camels and donkeys. And Sarah, my master's wife, bore a son to my master when she was old. And to him he was given all that he has. Now my master made me sure, saying, You shall not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanite in whose land I dwell. But you shall go to my father's house and to my family and take a wife for my son. And I said to my master, Perhaps the woman will not follow me. But he said to me, The Lord before whom I walk will send an angel before you and prosper your way. And you shall take a wife for my son from my family, from my family and from my father's house. You will be clear from this oath when you arrive among my family, and if they will not give her to you, then you will be released from my oath. And this day I came to the well and said, O Lord, God of my master Abraham, if you would now prosper the way in which I go, behold, I stand by the well of water, and it shall come to pass that when the virgins came out to draw water, and I said to her, Please give me a little water from a pitcher to drink. And she said to me, Drink, and I will draw for your camels also. Let her be the woman whom the Lord has appointed for my master's son. But before I had finished speaking in my heart, there was Rebekah coming out with her pitcher on her shoulder, and she went down to the well to draw water. And I said to her, Please let me drink. And she made haste and let her pitcher down from her shoulder and said, Drink, and I will give your camels a drink also. So I drank, and she gave the camels a drink also. Then I asked her and said, Whose daughter are you? And she said, The daughter of Bethuel, Nahor's son, whom Milcah bore him. So I put the nose ring on her nose and the bracelet on her wrist. And I bowed my head and worshipped the Lord and blessed the Lord God of my master Abraham, who had led me in the way of truth to take the daughter of my master's brother for his son. Now, if you will deal kindly and truly with my master, tell me. If not, tell me, that I may turn to the right hand or to the left. Then Laban and Bethuel answered and said, The thing that comes from the Lord we cannot speak to you, either bad or good. Here is Rebekah before you. Take her and go, and let her be your master's son, wife, as the Lord has spoken. And it came to pass when Abraham's servant heard this word, that he worshipped the Lord, bowing himself to the earth. Then the servant brought out jewelry of silver, jewelry of gold, and clothing, and gave them to Rebekah. He also gave precious things to her brother and said to her mother. And he and the men who were with him ate and drank and stayed all night. Then they arose in the morning and said, Send me away to my master. But her brother and her mother said, Let the young woman stay with us a few days, at least 10. After that she may go. And he said to them, Do not hinder me, since the Lord has prospered my way. Send me away so that I may go to my master. So they said, We will call the young woman and ask her personally. Then they called Rebekah and said to her, Will you go with this man? And she said, I will go. So they sent her away, Rebekah, their sister, and her nurse, and Abraham's servant and his men. And they blessed Rebekah and said to her, Our sister, may you become a mother of thousands and of thousands of 10,000s, and may your descendants possess the gates of those who hate them. Then Rebekah and her maids arose, and they rode on the camel and followed the men. So the servant took Rebekah and departed. So Isaac came from the way of Beer-lahai-roi, for he dwelt in the south. And Isaac went out to meditate in the field in the evening, and he lifted his eye and looked, and there the camels were coming. Then Rebekah lifted her eyes, and when she had saw Isaac, she dismounted from her camel. For she had said to her servant, Who is this man walking in the field to meet us? The servant said, "It is my master." So she took a veil and covered herself. And the servant told Isaac all the things he had done. Then Isaac brought her into his mother's into her mother Sarah's tent, and he took Rebekah, and she became his wife, and he loved her. And Isaac was comforted after his mother's death. Chapter 25. Abraham again took a wife, and her name was Keturah, and she bore him Zimran, Jokshan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shua. Jokshan begot Sheba and Dedan, and the sons of Dedan were Ashurim, Letusim, and Leumim. And the sons of Midian were Ephah, Hanosh, Abidah, and Eldah. All these were the children of Keturah, and Isaac gave all that he had to Isaac. But Abraham gave gift to the sons of the concubine in which Abraham had. And while he was still living, he sent them eastward, away from Isaac his son, to the country of the east. This is the sum of the years of Abraham's life, which he lived, 175 years. There Abraham breathed his last and died a good old man, full of years, and was gathered to his people. And his son Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah, which is before Mamre, in the field of Ephron, the son of Zohar the Hittites, the field which Abraham purchased from the son of Heth. There Abraham was buried, and Sarah his wife. And it came to pass after the death of Abraham that God blessed his son Isaac, and Isaac dwelt at Beer-lahai-roi. Now this is the genealogy of Ishmael, Abraham's son, whom Hagar the Egyptian, Sarah maid servant, bore to Abraham. And these were the names of the son of Ishmael by their names, according to their generation. The firstborn of Ishmael, Nebajor, then Kedah, Abil, Mibsham, Mishma, Duma, Massa, Hada, Tema, Jetur, Nephish, and Kedemah. These were the sons of Ishmael, and these were their names by the town and their settlement, 12 princes according to their nation. These were the years of and the life of Ishmael, 137 years, and he breathed his last and died. And he was gathered to his people. He dwelt from Havilah as far as Shur, which is east of Egypt, as you go towards Assyria. He died in the presence of all his brethren. This is the genealogy of Isaac's, Abraham's son. Abraham begot Isaac. Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah as wife, the daughter of Bethuel the Syrian of Padan Aram, the sister of Laban the Syrian. Now Isaac pleaded with the Lord for his wife because she was barren, and the Lord granted his plea. And Rebekah his wife conceived. But the children struggled together within her, and she said, "If all is well, why am I like this?" So she went to inquire the Lord, and the Lord said to her, "Two nations are in your womb, two people shall be separated from your body. One shall be stronger than the other. The older shall serve the younger." So when her days were fulfilled for her to give birth, indeed there were twins in her womb. The first came out red. He was like a hairy garment all over, so they called his name Esau. Afterward, his brother came out, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel. So his name was called Jacob. Isaac was 60-year-old when she bore them. So the boys grew. Esau was a skillful hunter, a man of the field, but Jacob was a mild man dwelling in the tents. And Isaac loved Esau because he ate his game, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Now Jacob cooked a stew, and Esau came in from the field and was weary. And Esau said to Jacob, "Please feed me that same red stew, for I am weary." Therefore his name was called Edom. But Jacob said, "Sell me your birthright as of this day." And Esau said, "Look, I am about to die. So what is this birthright to me?" Then Jacob said, "Swear to me as of this day." So he swore to him and sold his birthright to Jacob. And Jacob gave Esau the bread and stew of lentil. Then he ate and drank, arose, and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. Chapter 26. There was a famine in the land, beside the first famine that was in the days of Abraham. And Isaac went to Abimelech, king of the Philistines, in Gerar. The Lord appeared to him and said, "Do not go down to Egypt. Live in the land in which I shall tell you. Dwell in this land, and I will be with you and bless you. For to you and your descendant I will give this land, and I will perform the oath in which I swore Abraham your father. And I will make your descendant multiply as the stars of heaven. I will give to your descendant all this land, and in your seed all these nations of the earth shall be blessed, because Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge, my commandment, my statutes, and my law." So Isaac dwelt in Gerar. And the man of the place asked about his wife, and he said, "She is my sister." For he was afraid to say, "She is my wife," because he thought, "Lest the man of the place kill me for Rebekah, because she is beautiful to behold." Now it came to pass, when he had been there a long time, and Abimelech the king of Philistines looked through the window and saw, there was Isaac showing endearment to Rebekah his wife. And Abimelech called Isaac and said, "Quite obviously she is your wife. How could you say she is my sister?" And Isaac said, because I said this, I die on account of her. And Abimelech said, what is this you have done to us? One of the men might soon lay with your wife, and you would have brought guilt on us. So Abimelech charged his people, saying, he who touches his man or his wife will surely be put to death. Amen.
Genesis chapter 20, continuing from verse 12. Then Isaac sowed in the land and reaped in the same year of hundredfold, and the Lord blessed him. The man began to prosper and continued prospering until he became very prosperous. For he had possessions of flocks and possessions of herds and a great number of servants. So the Philistines envied him. Now the Philistine had stopped up all the wells which his father's servant had dug in the days of Abraham, his father, and they had filled them with earth. And Abimelech said to Isaac, go away from us, for you are much mightier than we. Then Isaac departed from there and pitched his tent in the valley of Gerar and dwelt there. And Isaac dug again the wells of water which they had dug in the days of Abraham his father, for the Philistines had stopped them up after the death of Abraham. He called them by the names which his father had called them. Also Isaac's servant dug in the valley and found a well of running water there. But the herdsmen of Gerar quarreled with Isaac's herdsmen, saying, the water is ours. So he called the name of the well Esek, because they quarreled with him. Then they dug another well, and they quarreled over that one also. So he called its name Sidna. And he moved from there and dug another well, and they did not quarrel over it. So he called its name Rehoboth, because he said, for now the Lord has made room for us, and we shall be fruitful in the land. Then he made he went up from there to Beersheba, and the Lord appeared to him in the same night and said, I am God of your father Abraham. Do not fear, for I am with you. I will bless you and multiply your descendants for my servants Abraham's sake. So he built an altar there and called on the name of the Lord, and he pitched his tent there, and there Isaac's servant dug a well. Then Abimelech came to him from Gerar with Ahuzat, one of his friends, and Pichol, the commander of his army. And Isaac said to him, why have you come to me, since you have hated me and have sent me away from you? But they said, we have certainly seen that the Lord is with you. So we said, let there now be an oath between us, between you and us, and let us make a covenant with you, that you will do us no harm, since we have not touched you, and since we have not done nothing to you but good, and have sent you away in peace. You are now the blessed of the Lord. So he made them a feast, and they ate and drank. Then they arose early in the morning and swore an oath with one another, and Isaac sent them away, and they departed from him in peace. It came to pass in the same day that Isaac's servant came and told him about the well which they had dug, and he said to him, we have found water. So he called it Sheba. Therefore the name of the city of Beersheba to this day. When Esau was 40 years old, he took as wives Judith, the daughter of Beri and Hittite, and Basemath, the daughter of Elon the Hittite. And they were a grief of mind to Isaac and Rebekah. Now it came to pass, when Isaac was old and his eyes were so dim that he could not see, that he called Esau his older son and said to him, my son. And he answered him, here I am. Then he said, behold, now I am old, I do not know the day of my death. Now, therefore, please take your weapons, your quiver, and your bow, and go out to the field and hunt game for me, and make me a savory food such as I love, and bring it to me that I may eat, that I may soul, that my soul may bless you before I die. Now Rebekah was listening when Isaac spoke to Esau, his son, and Esau went to the field to hunt game and to bring it. So Rebekah spoke to Jacob, her son, saying, Indeed, I heard your father speak to Esau, your brother, saying, Bring me game and make me savory food for me, that I may eat it and bless you in the presence of the Lord before my death. Now, therefore, my son, obey my voice according to what I have commanded you. Go now to the flock and bring me from there 2 choice kids of goats, and I will make savory food from there for your father, such as he loves. Then you shall take it to your father, and he may eat it, and that he may bless you before his death. And Jacob said to Rebekah to his mother, Look, Esau is my brother, is a hairy man, and I am a smooth skinned man. Perhaps my father will feel me, and I shall seem to be a deceiver to him, and I shall bring a curse on myself and not a blessing. But his mother said to him, Let your curse be on me, my son. Only obey my voice and go, get them for me. And he went and got them and brought them to his mother, and his mother made a savory food, such as his father loved. Then Rebekah took the choice clothes of her elder son Esau, which were with her in the house, and put them on Jacob, her younger son. And she put the skins of the kids of the goats on his hands and on the smooth parts of his neck. Then he gave the savory food and the bread which she had prepared into the hand of her son Jacob. So he went into his father and said, My father. And he said, Here I am. Who are you, my son? Jacob said of to his father, I am Esau, your firstborn. I have done just as you told me. Please arise, sit and eat of my game, that your soul may bless me. But Isaac said to his, how it is that you have found it so quickly, my son? And he said, Because the Lord your God brought it to me. Isaac said to Jacob, please come near, that I may feel you, my son, whether you are really my son Esau or not. So Jacob went near to Isaac, his father, and he felt him and said, The voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are the hands of Esau. And he did not recognize him, because his hands were hairy like his brother's Esau's hand. So he blessed him. Then he said, Are you really my son Esau? He said, I am. He said, Bring it near to me, and I will eat of my son's game, so that my soul may be blessed you. So he brought it near to him, and he ate, and he brought him the wine, and he drank. Then his father Isaac said to him, Come near now and kiss me, my son. And he came near and kissed him, and he smelled the smell of his clothes, and blessed him and said, Surely the smell of my son is like the smell of a field which the Lord has blessed. Therefore, may God give you of the dew of heavens, of the fatness of the earth, and plenty of grain and wine. Let people serve you, and nations bow down to you. Be master over all your brethren, and let your mother's son bow down to you. Cursed be everyone who curses you, and blessed be those who bless you. Now it happened, as soon as Isaac had finished blessing his Jacob, and Jacob has scarcely gone out from the presence of his father, Isaac his father, that Esau his brother came in from his hunting. And he also had made a savory food and brought it to his father, and said to his father, Let my father arise and eat of his son's game, that your soul may bless me. And his father Isaac said to him, Who are you? So he said, I am your son, your firstborn Esau. Then Isaac trembled exceedingly and said, Where is the one who hunted game and brought it to me? I ate of all of it before you came, and I have blessed him. And indeed he shall be blessed. When Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with an exceedingly great and bitter cry, and said to his father, Bless me also, O my father. But he said, Your brother came with deceit and has taken away your blessing. And Esau said, Is he not rightly named Jacob? For he has supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright, and now look, he has taken away my blessing. And he said, Have you not reserved a blessing for me? Then Isaac answered and said to Esau, Indeed, I have made him your master, and all his brethren I have given to him as a servant. With grain and wine I have sustained him. What shall I do now for you, my son? And Esau said to father, have you only have blessed one blessing, my father? Bless me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept Then Isaac his father answered and said to him, Behold, your dwelling shall be of the fatness of the earth, of the dew of the heavens above. By your sword you shall live, and you shall serve your brother. And it shall come to pass when you become restless that you shall break his yoke from your neck. So Esau hated Jacob because of the blessings with which his father blessed him. And Esau said to his father, The days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then I will kill my brother Jacob. And the words of Esau, her older son, were told to Rebekah. So she sent and called Jacob, her younger son, and said to him, Surely your brother Esau comforts himself concerning you by intending to kill you. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice. Arise, flee to to my brother Laban in Haran, and stay with him a few days until your brother's fury turns away, until your brother's anger turns away from you, and he forgets what you have done to him. Then I will send and bring you from there. Why should I be bereaved also of you both in one day? And Rebekah said to Isaac, I am weary of my life because of the daughters of Heth. If Jacob takes a wife of the daughters of Heth, like these, who are they are daughters of the land, what good will my life be to me? Then Isaac called Jacob, chapter 28. Then Isaac called Jacob and blessed him and charged him and said to him, You shall not take your wife from the daughters of Canaan. Arise, go to Padan Aram, to the house of Bethuel your mother's father, and take yourself a wife from there of the daughters of Laban, your mother's brother. May God Almighty bless you and make you a fruitful and multiply you, that you may be an assembly of people, and give you the blessings of Abraham to you and your descendants with you, that you may inherit the land in which you are a stranger, which God gave to Abraham. So Isaac sent Jacob away, and he went to Padan Aram to Laban, the son of Bethuel, and the Syrian, the brother of Rebekah, the mother of Jacob and Esau. Esau saw that Isaac had blessed Jacob and sent him away to Padan Aram to take himself a wife from there, and that as he blessed him and gave him a charge, saying, You shall not take a wife from the daughters of Canaan, and that Jacob had obeyed his father and his mother and had gone to Padan Aram. So Esau saw that the daughters of Canaan did not please his father Isaac. So Esau went to Ishmael and took Mahalat, the daughter of Ishmael. So Esau went to Ishmael and took the Mahalat, the daughter of Ishmael, Abraham's son, the sister of Nebojat, to be his wife in addition to the wives he had. Now Jacob went out from Beersheba and went toward Haran, so he came to a certain place and stayed there all night because the sun had set. And he took one of the stones of the place and put it at his right head and at his head, and he lay down at the place to sleep. Then he dreamed, and behold, a ladder was set up on the earth, and its top reaches to heavens, and there are angels of God were ascending and descending on it. And behold, the Lord stood above it and said, I am the Lord God of Abraham your father, and the God of Isaac. To the land of which you lie, I will give to you and your descendants. Also, your descendants shall be as the dust of the earth. You shall spread abroad to the west and the east, to the north and the south, and in you and in your seed all the families of the earth shall be blessed. Behold, I am with you, and I will keep you wherever you go, and I will bring you back to the land, for I will not leave you until I have done what I have spoken to you. Then Jacob awoke from his sleep and said, Surely the Lord is in his place, and I did not know it. And he was afraid and said, How awesome is this place! This is none other than the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven. Then Jacob rose early in the morning and took the stone that he had put at his head, set it up as a pillar, and poured oil on top of it. And he called the name of the place Bethel, but the name of the city had been Luz previously. Then Jacob made a vow, saying, If God will be with me and keep me in this way that I am going, and give me bread to eat and clothing to put on, so that I come back to my father's house in peace, then the Lord shall be my God, And this stone which I have set as a pillar shall be God's house, and all that you give to me, I will surely give a tenth to you. Thank you. Amen.
Genesis 29. So Jacob went on his journey and came to the land of the people of East, and he looked and saw a well in the field. And behold, there were 3 flocks of sheep lying by it, for out of that well they watered the flocks. A large stone was on the well's mouth. Now all the flocks would be gathered there, and they would roll the stone from the well's mouth, water the sheep, and put the stone back in its place on the well's mouth. And Jacob said to them, My brethren, where are you from? And they said, We are from Haran. Then he said to them, Do you know Laban, the son of Nahor? And they said, We know him. So he said to them, Is he well? And they said, He is well. And look, his daughter Rachel is coming with the sheep. Then he said, Look, it is still high day. It is not time for cattle to be gathered together. Water the sheep and go and feed them. But they said, We cannot until all the flocks are gathered together. And they have rolled the stone from the well's mouth. Then we water the sheep. Now, while he was still speaking with them, Rachel came with her father's sheep, for she was shepherdess. And it came to pass when Jacob saw Rachel, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, and the sheep of Laban, his mother's brother, that Jacob went near and rolled the stone from the well's mouth and watered the flock of Laban, his mother's brother. Then Jacob kissed Rachel and lifted up his voice and wept. And Jacob told Rachel that he was her father's relative and that he was Rebekah's son. And she ran and told her father. Then it came to pass when Laban heard the report about Jacob, his sister's son, that he ran to meet him and embraced him and kissed him and brought him to his house. So he told Laban all these things. And Laban said to him, Surely you are my bone and my flesh. And he stayed with him for a month. Then Laban said to Jacob, Because you are my relative, should you therefore serve me for nothing? Tell me, what should your wages be? Now Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Leah's eyes were delicate, but Rachel was beautiful of form and appearance. Now Jacob loved Rachel, so he said, I will serve you 7 years for Rachel, your younger daughter. And Laban said, It is better that I give her to you than that I should give her to another man. Stay with me. So Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and it seemed only a few days to him because of the love he had for her. Then Jacob said to Laban, Give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled, that I may go in to her. And Laban gathered together all the men of the place and made a feast. Now it came to pass in the evening that he took Leah his daughter and brought her to Jacob, and he went in to her. And Laban gave his maid Zilpah to his daughter Leah as a maid. So it came to pass in the morning that behold, it was Leah, and he said to Laban, What is this you have done to me? Was it not for Rachel that I served you? Why then have you deceived me? And Laban said, It must not be done so in our country, to give the younger before the firstborn. Fulfill her week, and we will give you this one also, for the service which you will serve with me till another 7 years. And Jacob did so and fulfilled her week. So he gave him his daughter Rachel as wife also. And Laban gave his maid Bilhah to his daughter Rachel as a maid. Then Jacob also went in to Rachel. And he also loved Rachel more than Leah. And he served with Laban still another 7 years. When the Lord saw that Leah was unloved, he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. So Leah conceived and bore a son, and she called a name Reuben, for she said, "The Lord has surely looked on my affliction. Now, therefore, my husband will love me." Then she conceived again and bore a son, and said, "Because the Lord has heard that I am unloved, he has therefore given me this son also." And she called his name Simeon. She conceived again and bore a son, and said, "Now this time my husband will become attached to me, because I have borne him 3 sons." Therefore his name was called Levi. And she conceived again and bore a son, said, "Now I will praise the Lord." Therefore she called his name Judah. Then she stopped bearing. Chapter 30. Now when Rachel saw that she bore Jacob no children, Jacob envied her sister and said to Jacob, "Give me children, or else I die." And Jacob's anger was aroused against Rachel, and he said, "Am I in the place of God, who has withheld from you the fruit of the womb?" So she said, "Here's my maid, Bilhah. Go in to her, and she will bear a child on my knees, that I also may have children by her." Then she gave him Bilhah, her maid, as wife, and Jacob went in to her. And Bilhah conceived and bore Jacob a son. Then Rachel said, "God has judged my case, and he has also heard my voice and given me a son." Therefore she called his name Dan. And Rachel's maid Bilhah conceived again and bore Jacob a second son. Then Rachel said, "With great wrestlings I have wrestled with my sister, and indeed I have prevailed." So she called his name Naphtali. When Leah saw that she had stopped bearing, she took Zilpah, her maid, and gave her to Jacob as wife. And Leah's maid Zilpah bore Jacob a son. Then Leah said, "A troop comes," so she calls his name Gad. And Leah's maid Zilpah bore Jacob a second son. And Leah said, "I'm happy, for the daughters will call me blessed." So she called his name Asher. Now Reuben went in the days of wheat harvest and found mandrakes in the field and brought them to his mother Leah. Then Rachel said to Leah, "Please give me some of your son's mandrakes." Then she said to her, "It is a small matter that you have taken away my husband. Would you take away my son's mandrakes also?" And Rachel said, "Therefore he will lie with you tonight for your son's mandrakes." When Jacob came out of the field in the evening, Leah went out to meet him and said, "You must come in to me, for I have surely hired you with my son's mandrakes." And he lay with her that night. And God listened to Leah, and she conceived and bore Jacob a fifth son. Leah said, "God has given me my wages, because I have given my maid to my husband." So she called his name Issachar. Then Leah conceived again and bore Jacob a sixth son, and Leah said, "God has endowed me with a good endowment. Now my husband will dwell with me, because I have borne him 6 sons." So she called his name Zebulun. Afterward, she bore a daughter and called her name Dinah. Then God remembered Rachel, and God listened to her and opened her womb. And she conceived and bore a son, and said, "God has taken away my reproach." So she called his name Joseph and said, "The Lord shall add me another son." And it came to pass, when Rachel had borne Joseph, that Jacob said to Laban, "Send me away, that I may go to my own place and to my country. Give me my wives and my children, for whom I have served you, and let me go, for you know my service which I have done for you." And Laban said to me, "Please stay, if I have found favor in your eyes, for I have learned by experience that the Lord has blessed me with for your sake." Then he said, "Name me your wages, and I will give it." So Jacob said to him, "You know how I have served you, and how your livestock has been with me. For what you had before I came was little, and it has increased to a great amount. The Lord has blessed you since my coming, and now when shall I also provide for my own house?" So he said, "What shall I give you?" And Jacob said, "You shall not give me anything. If you will do this thing for me, I will again feed and keep your flocks. Let me pass through all your flocks today, removing from there all the speckled and spotted sheep and all the brown ones, among the lambs, and spotted and speckled among the goats, and these shall be my wages. So my righteousness will answer for me in time to come, when the subject of my wages comes before you. Every one that is not speckled and spotted among the goats and brown among the lambs will be considered stolen if it is with me. And Laban said, oh, that is were according to your word. So he removed that day the male goats that were speckled and spotted, all the female goats that were speckled and spotted, every one that had some white in it, and all the brown ones among the lambs, and gave them into the hands of his sons. Then he put 3 days' journey between himself and Jacob fed the rest of Laban's flock. Now Jacob took for himself rods of green poplar and of the almond and chestnut tree, peeled the white strips in them, and exposed the white which was in the rods. And the rods which he had peeled, he set before the flocks in the gutters, in the watering troughs, where the flock came to drink, so that they could conceive when they came to drink. So the flocks conceived before the rods, and the flocks brought forth streaks, speckled and spotted. Then Jacob separated the lambs and made the flocks face toward the streaked and all the brown in the flock of Laban. But he put his own flocks by themselves and did not put them with Laban's flock. And it came to pass, whenever the stronger livestock conceived, that Jacob placed the rods before the eyes of the livestock in the gutters, that they might conceive among the rods. But when the flocks were feeble, he did not put them in. So the feeble were Laban's, and the stronger Jacob's. Thus the man became exceedingly prosperous and had large flocks, female and male servants, and camels and donkeys. Chapter 31. Now Jacob heard the words of Laban's son, saying, Jacob has taken away all that was our father's, and from what was our father's, he has acquired all this wealth. And Jacob saw the countenance of Laban, and indeed it was not favorable towards him as before. Then the Lord said to Jacob, return to the land of your father and to your family, and I will be with you. So Jacob sent and called Rachel and Leah to the field to his flock, and said to them, I see your father's countenance, that it is not favorable towards me as before, but the God of my father has been with me. And you know that with all my might I have served your father. Yet your father has deceived me and changed my wages 10 times. But God did not allow him to hurt me. If he said thus, the speckled shall be your wages, then all the flocks bore speckled. And if he said thus, the speckled shall be your wages, then all flocks bore streaked. So God has taken away the livestock of your father and gave them to me. And it happened at the time when the flocks conceived, that I lifted up my eyes and saw in a dream, and behold, the rams which leaped upon the flocks were streaked, speckled, and gray spotted. Then the angel of God spoke to me in a dream, saying, Jacob. And I said, Here I am. And he said, Lift your eyes now and see. And the rams which leap on the flocks are streaked, speckled, and gray spotted. For I have seen all that Laban is doing to you. I am the God of Bethel, where you anointed the pillar and where you made a vow to me. Now arise, get out of this land, and return to the land of your family. Then Rachel and Leah answered and said to him, Is there still any portion or inheritance for us in the Father's house? Are we not considered strangers by him? For he has sold us and also completely consumed our money. For all these riches which God has taken from our father are rarely ours, and our children now then, that whatever God has said to you, do it. Then Jacob rose and set his sons and his wives on camel, and he carried away all his livestock and all his possession which he had gained, his acquired livestock which he had gained in Padan Aram, to go to his father Isaac in the land of Canaan. And Laban had gone to shear his sheep, and Rachel had stolen the household idols that were her father's. And Jacob stole away, unknown to Laban and Syrian, in that he did not tell him. that he intended to flee. So he fled with all that he had. He arose and crossed the river and headed towards the mountains of Gilead. And Laban was told on the third day that Jacob had fled. Then he took his brethren with him and pursued him for 7 days' journey. And he overlooked him in the mountains of Gilead. But God had come to Laban, the Syrian, in a dream by night and said to him, "Be careful that you speak to Jacob neither good nor bad." So Laban overtook Jacob. Now Jacob had pitched his tent in the mountains, and Laban with his brethren pitched in the mountain of Gilead. Amen.
And Laban said to Jacob, "What have you done that you have stolen away?"
Continue reading, sister.
And Laban said to Jacob, "What have you done that you have stolen away, unknown to me, and carried away my daughters like captives, taken with the sword? Why did you flee away secretly and steal away from me and not tell me? For I might have sent you away with joy and songs, with timbrel and harp. Then you did not allow me to kiss my sons and my daughters. Now you have done foolishly in so doing. It is in my power to do you harm. But the God of your father spoke to me last night, saying, Be careful that you speak to Jacob, neither good nor bad. And now you have surely gone because you greatly long for your father's house. But why did you steal my gods? Then Jacob answered and said to Laban, Because I was afraid, for I said, Perhaps you would take your daughters from me by force. With whoever you find your gods, do not let him live in the presence of our brethren. Identify what I have of yours and take it with you. For Jacob did not know that Rachel had stolen them. And Laban went into Jacob's tent, into Leah's tent, and into the two maids' tents, but he did not find them. Then he went out of Leah's tent and entered Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the household idols, put them in the camel's saddle, and sat on them. And Laban searched all about the tent, but did not find them. And she said to her father, Let it not displease my lord, and I cannot rise before you, for the manner of women is with me. And he searched, but did not find the household idols. Then Jacob was angry and rebuked Laban. And Jacob answered and said to Laban, What is my trespass? What is my sin that you have so hotly pursued me? Although you have searched all my things, what part of your household things have you found? Set it here before my brethren and your brethren, that they may judge between us both. These 20 years I have been with you. Your ewes and your female goats have not miscarried their young, and I have not eaten the rams of your flock. That which was torn by beasts I did not bring to you. I bore the loss of it. You required it from my hand, whether stolen by day or stolen by night. There I was in the day the drought consumed me, and the frost by night, and my sleep departed from my eyes. Thus I have been in your house 20 years. I served you 14 years for your 2 daughters and 6 years for your flock. And you have changed my wages 10 times. Unless the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac had been with me, surely now you would have sent me away empty-handed. God has seen my affliction and the labor of my hands, and rebuked you last night. And Laban answered and said to Jacob, these daughters are my daughters, and these children are my children, and this flock is my flock. All that you see is mine. But what can I do this day to these my daughters or to their children whom they have borne? Now therefore, come, let us make a covenant, you and I, and let it be witness between you and me. So Jacob took a stone and set it up as a pillar. Then Jacob said to his brethren, gather stones, and they took stones and made a heap, and they ate there on the heap. Laban called it Jaga Sahaduta, but Jacob called it Galid. And Laban said, this heap is a witness between you and me this day. Therefore his name was called Gilead. Also Mizpah, because he said, may the Lord watch between you and me when we are absent one from another. If you afflict my daughters, or if you take other wives besides my daughters, although no man is with us, see, God is witness between you and me. Then Laban said to Jacob, here is this heap, and here is this pillar, which I have placed between you and me. This heap is a witness, and this pillar is a witness that I will pass beyond this heap to you, and you will pass beyond this heap, and this pillar to me for harm. The God of Abraham, the God of Nabal, and the God of their father judge between us. And Jacob swore by fear of his father Isaac. Then Jacob offered a sacrifice on the mountain and called his brethren to eat bread. And they ate bread and stayed all night on the mountain. And early in the morning, Laban arose and kissed his sons and daughters and blessed them. Then Laban departed and returned to his place. So Jacob went on his way, and the angels of God met him. When Jacob saw them, he said, this is God's camp. And he called the name of that place Mahanaim. Then Jacob sent messengers before him to Esau, his brother, in the land of Seir and country of Edom. And he commanded them, saying, speak thus to my lord Esau. Thus your servant Jacob says, I have dwelt with Laban and stayed there until now. I have oxen, donkeys, flocks, and male and female servants, and I have sent to tell my lord, and I may find favor in your sight. Then the messengers returned to Jacob, saying, we came to your brother Esau, and also is coming to meet you, and 400 men are with him. So Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed, and he divided the people that were with him, and the flocks and herds, and camels into two companies. And he said, if Esau comes to the one company and attacks it, then the other company which is left with will escape. Then Jacob said, O God of my father Abraham, and God of my father Isaac, the Lord who said to me, return to your country and to your family, and I will deal well with you. I am not worthy of the least of all the mercies and of all the truth which you have shown your servant. For I crossed over this Jordan with my staff, and now I have become two companies. Deliver me, I pray, from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau, for I fear him, lest he come and attack me and the mother with the children. For you said, I will surely treat you well and make your descendants as the sand of the sea, which cannot be numbered for multitude. So he lodged there and came and that same night and took what came to his hand as a present for Esau his brother, 200 female goats and 20 male goats, 200 ewes and 20 rams, 30 milk camels with their colts, 40 cows and 10 bulls, 20 female donkeys and 10 foals. Then he delivered them to the hand of his servants, every drove by himself, and said to his servants, Pass over before me and put some distance between successive droves. And he commanded the first one, saying, When Esau my brother meets you and asks you, saying, To whom do you belong, and where are you going? Whose are these in front of you? Then you shall say, They are your servants, Jacob's. It is a present sent to my lord Esau. And behold, he also is behind us. So he commanded the second, the third, and all who followed the droves, saying, In this manner you shall speak to Esau when you find them, and also say, Behold, your servant Jacob is behind us. For he said, I will appease him with the present and that goes before me, and afterward I will see his face. Perhaps he will accept me. So the present went on over before him, and he himself lodged that night in the camp. And he arose that night and took his 2 wives, his 2 female servants, and his 11 sons, and crossed over the ford of Jabbok. He took them, sent them over the brook, and sent over what he had. Then Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him until the breaking of day. Now, when he saw that he did not prevail against him, he touched the socket of his hip, and the socket of Jacob's hip was out of joint as he wrestled with him. And he said, Let me go, for the day breaks. But he said, I will not let you go unless you bless me. So he said to him, What is your name? He said, Jacob. And he said, Your name shall no longer be called Jacob, but Israel. For you have struggled with God and with men, and have prevailed. Then Jacob asked, saying, Tell me your name, I pray. And he said, Why is it that you ask my name? That he blessed there. So Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, for I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. Just as he crossed over Peniel, the sun rose on him, and he leaned on his hip. Therefore, to this day, the children of Israel do not eat the muscle that shrank, which is on the hip socket, because it touched the socket of Jacob's hip in the muscle, and that shrank. Now Jacob lifted his eyes and looked, and there Esau was coming, and with him were 400 men. So he divided the children among Leah, Rachel, and the 2 maidservants. And he put the maidservants and their children in front, Leah and her children behind, and Rachel and Joseph last. Then he crossed over before them and bowed himself to the ground 7 times until he came near to his brother. But Esau ran to meet him and embraced him and fell on his neck and kissed him and wept. And he lifted his eyes and saw the women and children and said, Who are these with you? So he said, The children whom God has graciously given your servant. Then the maidservants came near, they and their children, and bowed down. And Leah also came near with her children, and they bowed down. Afterward, Joseph and Rachel came near, and they bowed down. Then Esau said, What do you mean by all this company which I met? And he said, These are to find favor in the sight of my Lord. But Esau said, I have enough, my brother. keep what you have for yourself. And Jacob said, No, please, if I have now found favor in your sight, then receive my present from my hand, inasmuch as I have seen your face, as though I had seen the face of God, and you were pleased with me. Please take my blessing that is brought to you, because God has dealt graciously with me, and because I have enough. So he urged him, and he took it. Then Esau said, Let us take our journey, let us go, and I will go before you. But Jacob said to him, My Lord knows that the children are weak, and the flocks and the herds which are nursing are with me. And if the men should drive them hard one day, all the flock will die. Please let my Lord go on ahead before his servant. I will lead on slowly at a pace which the livestock that go before me and the children are able to endure until I come to my Lord in Seir. And Esau said, Now let me leave with you some of the people who are with me. But he said, What need is there? Let me find favor in the sight of my Lord. So Esau returned that day on his way to Seir. And Jacob journeyed to Succoth, built himself a house, and made booths for his livestock. Therefore, the name of the place is called Succoth. Then Jacob came safely to the city of Shechem, which is the land of Canaan. When he came from Padan Aram, and he pitched his tent before the city, and he brought the parcel of land where he had pitched his tent from the children of Hamor, Shechem's father, for 100 pieces of money. Then he erected an altar, and then called it El Elohe Israel. Now Dinah, the daughter of Leah, whom she had borne to Jacob, went out to see the daughters of the land. And when Shechem and the sons of Hamor, the Hivite prince of the country, saw her, he took her and lay with her and violated her. His soul was strongly attracted to Dinah, the daughter of Jacob, and he loved the young woman and spoke kindly to the young woman. So Shechem spoke to his father Hamor, saying, Get me this young woman as a wife. And Jacob heard that he had defiled Dinah, his daughter. Now his sons were with his livestock in the field. So Jacob held his peace until they came. Then Hamor, the father of Shechem, went out to Jacob to speak with him. And the sons of Jacob came in from the field when they heard it. And the men were grieved and very angry because he had done a disgraceful thing in Israel by lying with Jacob's daughter, a thing which ought not to be done. But Hamor spoke with them, saying, The soul of my son Shechem longs for your daughter. Please give her to him as a wife, and make marriages with us. Give your daughters to us, and take our daughters to yourselves. Amen.
Genesis 34, verse 10. So you shall dwell with us, and the land shall be before you. Dwell and trade in it, and acquire possession for yourself in it. Then Shechem said to his father and her brother, Let me find favor in your eyes, and whatever you say to me, I will give. Ask me ever so much a dowry and give, and I will give according to what you said to me. But give me the young woman as a wife. So the sons of Jacob answered Shechem and Hamor his father, and spoke deceitfully because he had defiled Dinah their sister. And they said to them, We cannot do this thing to give our sister to one who is uncircumcised, for that would be a reproach to us. But on this condition, we will consent to you. If you will become as we are, if every male of you is circumcised, then we will give our daughters to you, and we will take your daughters to us, and we will dwell with you, and we will become one people. But if you will not heed us and circumcise, then we will take our daughters and be gone. And the words pleased Hamor and Shechem, Hamor's son, and the young man did not delay to do the thing, because he was delighted in Jacob's daughter. He was more honorable than all the household of his father. And Hamor and Shechem his son came to the gate of the city and spoke to the men of the city, saying, These men are at peace with us, therefore let them dwell in the land and trade in it. For indeed the land is large enough for us, for them. Let us take their daughters to us as wife, and let them give them our daughters. Only on this condition will the men consent to dwell with us, to be one people, if every male among us is circumcised, and they are circumcised as they are circumcised. Will not their livestock, their property, and every animal of theirs be ours? Only let us consent to them, and they will dwell with us. And all who went out of the city gate heeded Hamor and Shechem his son. Every male was circumcised, all who went out of the city gate. Now it came to pass on the third day, when they were still in pain, two of the sons of Jacob, Simeon and Levi, Dinah's brother, each took a sword and came boldly upon the city and killed all the males. And they killed Hamor and Shechem his son with the edge of the sword, and took Dinah from Shechem's house and went out. The sons of Jacob came upon the slain and plundered the city, because her sister has been defiled. They took their sheep, their oxen, their donkey, and was in the city, and what was in the city and what was in the field, and all their wealth, and their little ones and their wives they took captives, and they plundered even all that was in the house. Then Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, You have troubled me by making me obnoxious among the inhabitants of the land, among the Canaanite and Perizzite. And since I am few in number, they will gather themselves together against me and kill me. I shall be destroyed, and my household in it. But they said, Shall he treat our sister like a harlot? Then God said to Jacob, Arise and go to Bethel, dwell there, and make an altar there to God, who appeared to you when you fled from your face of your brother Esau. And Jacob said to his household, to all who were with him, Put away all the foreign gods that are among you, purify yourself and change your garment, and let us arise and go to Bethel. And I will make an altar there to God, who answered me in the day of my distress, and has been with me in the way which I have gone. So they gave Jacob all the foreign gods which were in the hand, and the earrings which were in their ears, and Jacob hid them under the terebinth tree which was by Shechem. And they journeyed, and the terror of God was upon the city that were all around them, and they did not pursue the sons of Jacob. So Jacob came to Luz, which is Bethel, which is in the land of Canaan, and he and all the people who were with him. And he built an altar there and called the place El Bethel, because God appeared to him when he fled from the face of his brother. Now Deborah, Rebekah's nurse, died, and he was buried before the Bethel under the terebinth tree. So the name of it was called Alon Bakush. Then God appeared to Jacob again, and he blessed, and he came as when he came to from Padan Aram and blessed him. And God said to him, Your name is Jacob, and your name shall not be called Jacob anymore, but Israel shall be your name. And he called his name Israel, for God said to him, I am God Almighty. Be fruitful and multiply. A nation and a company of nations shall proceed from you, and a king shall come from your body. The land which I gave Abraham and Isaac I give to you, and to your descendant after you I will give this land. Then God went up from him in the place where he talked with him. So Jacob set up a pillar in the place where he talked with him, a pillar of stone, and he poured a drink offering on it, and he poured oil on it. And Jacob called upon the name of the place where God spoke with him, Bethel. Then he journeyed from Bethel, and when there was a little distance from Ephah, Rachel's labor in childbirth, and she had hard labor. Now it came to pass when she was in hard labor, and the midwife said to her, Do not fear, you will have a son also. So it was as her soul was departing, for she died, and that she called his name Ben-Oni, but his father called him Benjamin. So Rachel died and was buried on the way to Ephraim, that is Bethlehem. And Jacob set up a pillar on her grave, which is the pillar of Rachel's grave to this day. Then Israel journeyed and pitched his tent beyond the tower of Eder. And it happened when Israel dwelt in the land that Reuben went and lay with Bilhah, his father's concubine, and Israel heard of it. Now the sons of Jacob were 12. The sons of Leah were Reuben, Jacob's firstborn, and Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun. And the sons of Rachel was Joseph and Benjamin. The sons of Bilhah, Rachel's maidservant, were Dan and Naphtali. The sons of Zilpah, Leah's maidservant, were Gad and Asher. These were the sons of Jacob who were born to him in Padan Aram. Then Jacob came to his father Isaac at Mamre of Kitra Abra, that is Hebron, where Abraham and Isaac had dwelt. Now the days of Isaac were 180 years. So Isaac breathed his last and died, and was gathered to his people, being old and full of days. And his son Esau and Jacob buried him. Chapter 36. Now this is the genealogy of Esau, who is Edom. Esau took his wife from the daughter of Canaan, Ada, the daughter of Elon, the Hittites, Aholibama, the daughter of Anna, and daughter of Zibeon, the Hivite, and Basemat, Ishmael's daughter, the sister of Nabojah. Now Ada brought Eliphaz to Esau, and Basma bore Iriu, and Aholibama bore Jerush, Jama, and Korah. These were the sons of Esau who were born to him in the land of Canaan. Now then Esau took his wife, his sons, his daughter, and all his persons of his household, his cattle, and all his animals, and all his goods, which he had gained in the land of Canaan, and went to a country away from the presence of his brother Jacob. For their possession were too great for them to dwell together, and the land where they were strangers could not support them because of their livestock. So Esau dwelt in Mount Seir. Esau is Edom. And this is the genealogy of Esau, the father of Edomites in Mount Seir. Those were the names of Esau's son: Eliphaz, the son of Ada, and the wife of Esau, and Reuel, the son of Basma, the wife of Esau, and the sons of Eliphaz were Teman, Oman, Zepho, Gatam, and Kenas. Now Timnah was a concubine of Eliphaz, Esau's son, and she brought Amalek to Eliphaz. And these were the sons of Ada, Esau's wife. And these were the sons of Reuel, Nahat, Zerah, Sama, and Misa. These were the sons of Basma, Esau's wife. And these were the sons of Aholibama, Esau's wife, the daughter of Anna, the daughter of Zibeon, and she bore Esau, Jerush, Janam, and Korah. These were the chief of the sons of Esau, the sons of Eliphaz, the firstborn son of Esau. The chief were Chief Teman, Chief Oman, Chief Zepho, Chief Kenas, Chief Korah, Chief Gatam, and Chief Amalek. These were the chief of Eliphaz in the land of Edom. They were the sons of Ada. These were the sons of Reuel, Esau's son, Chief Tahat, Chief Zerah, Chief Shammah, and Chief Mizrah. These were the chief of Reuel in the land of Edom. And these were the sons of Basma, Esau's wife. And these were the sons of Aholibama, Esau's wife, Chief Jerush, Chief Jama, and Chief Korah. These were the chief who descended from Aholibama, Esau's wife, the daughter of Ammon. These were the sons of Esau, who is Edom, and these were their chief. These were the sons of Seir, the Horite, who inhabited in the land: Lotan, Shobah, Zibeon, Anna, Dishon, Ezer, and Dishan. These were the chief of Horite, the sons of Seir, the land of Edom. And the sons of Lotan were Hori and Herman. Lotan's sisters was Timnah. These were the sons of Shobah, Avan, Mahara, Ebal, Shepho, and Onan. These were the sons of Zibeon, both Ajah and Anna. This was the Anna who found water in the wilderness as he pastured the donkey of his father Zibeon. These were the children of Anna, Dishon, and Aholibama, the daughter of Anna. These were the sons of Dishon, Herman, Eshban, Itra, and Cheran. These were the sons of Ezer, Bilhan, Zarvan, and Akan. These were the sons of Dishan, Uz, and Aran. These were the chief of the Horites: Chief Lotan, Chief Shobal, Chief Zibeon, Chief Anna, Chief Dishon, Chief Ezer, and Chief Dishan. These were the chief of the Horites according to the chief in the land of Seir. Now these were the kings who reigned in the land of Edom before any king reigned over the children of Israel. Bela, the son of Boaz, who reigned in Edom, and the name of his city was Dishabah. And when Bela died, Jobab, the son of Zerah of Bosra, reigned in his place. When Jobab died, Hushan, the land of termites, reigned in his place. And when Hushan died, Hadad, son of Behadad, who attacked Midian in the field of Moab, reigned in his place, and the name of his city was Aviv. When Hadad died, Shamlah of Meshrekah reigned in his place. And when Shamlah died, Saul of Rehoboth by the river reigned in his place. When Saul died, Baal Hanan, the son of Akor, reigned in his place. And when Baal Hanan, the son of Akor, died, Hadad reigned in his place, and the name of the city was Pau. His wife's name was Mether-Tebal, and the daughter of Metrat, the daughter of Meshahab. These are the name of the chief of Esau according to their families and their place by the names: Chief Timnah, Chief Avlah, Chief Jetcher, Chief Aholibama, Chief Etha, Chief Pinon, Chief Kenes, Chief Teman, Chief Misra, Chief Magdiel, and Chief Imran. These were the chief of Edom according to their dwelling places in the land of their possession. Esau was a father of the Edomites. Amen.
Chapter 37. Now Jacob dwelt in the land where his father was a stranger in the land of Canaan. This is the history of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brothers, and the lad was with the sons of Bilhah and the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives. And Joseph brought a bad report of them to his father. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age. Also, he made him a tunic of many colors. But when his brothers saw that their father loved him more than all his brothers, they hated him and could not speak peaceably to him. Now, Joseph had a dream and he told it to his brothers, and they hated him even more. So he said to them, "Please hear this dream which I have dreamt. There we were, binding sheaves in the field. Then behold, my sheaf arose and also stood upright. And indeed, your sheaves stood all around and bowed down to my sheaf." And his brothers said to him, "Shall you indeed reign over us? Or shall you indeed have dominion over us?" So they hated him even more for his dreams and for his words. Then he dreamt still another dream and told it to his brothers and said, "Look, I have dreamt another dream, and this time the sun and moon and the 11 stars bowed down to me." So he told it to his father and his brothers. And his father rebuked him and said to him, "What is this dream that you have dreamt? Shall your mother and I and your brothers indeed come to bow down to the earth before you?" And his brothers envied him, but his father kept the matter in mind. Then his brothers went to feed their father's flock in Shechem, and Israel said to Joseph, "Are not your brothers feeding the flock in Shechem? Come, I will send you to them." So he said to him, "Here I am." And he said to him, "Please go and see if it is well with your brothers and well with the flocks, and bring back word to me." So he sent him out of the valley of Hebron, and he went to Shechem. Now a certain man found him, and there he was, wandering in the field. And the man asked him, saying, "What are you seeking?" So he said, "I am seeking my brothers. Please tell me where they are feeding their flocks." And the man said, "They have departed from here, for I heard them say, 'Let us go to Dothan.'" So Joseph went after his brothers and found him in Dothan. Now, when they saw him afar off, even before he came near them, they conspired against him to kill him. Then they said to one another, "Look, the dreamer is coming. Come, therefore, let us now kill him and cast him into some pit, and we shall say, 'Some wild beast has devoured him.' We shall see what will become of his dreams." But Reuben heard it, and he delivered him out of their hands, and said, "Let us not kill him." And Reuben said to them, "Shed no blood, but cast him into this pit which is in the wilderness, and do not lay a hand on him, that he might deliver him out of their hands and bring him back to his father." So it came to pass, when Joseph had come to his brothers, that they stripped Joseph of his tunic, the tunic of many colors that was on him. And they took him and cast him into a pit. And the pit was empty, and there was no water in it. And they sat down to eat a meal. Then they lifted their eyes and looked, and there was a company of Ishmaelites coming from Gilead with their camels bearing spices, balm, and myrrh, and on their way to carry them down to Egypt. So Judah said to his brothers, "What profit is there if we kill our brother and conceal his blood? Come, let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother and our flesh." And his brothers listened. The Midianite traders passed by, and the brothers pulled Joseph up and lifted him out of the pit and sold him to the Ishmaelites for 20 shekels of silver, and they took Joseph to Egypt. Then Reuben returned to the pit, and indeed Joseph was not in the pit, and he tore his clothes. And he returned to his brothers and said, "The lad is no more, and where shall I go?" So they took Joseph's tunic, killed a kid of the goats, and dipped a tunic in the blood. And they sent the tunic of many colors, and they brought it to their father and said, "We have found this. Do you know whether it is your son's tunic or not?" For he recognized it and said, "It is my son's tunic. A wild beast has devoured him." Without doubt, Joseph is torn to pieces. Then Joseph tore his clothes, put sackcloth on his waist, and mourned for his son many days. And all his son and all his daughters arose to comfort him, But he refused to be comforted. And he said, For I shall go down into the grave to my son in mourning. Thus his father wept for him. Now the Midianites had sold him in Egypt to Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh and captain of the guard. 38. It came to pass that at that time that Judah departed from his brothers and visited a certain Edolamite whose name was Hira. And Judah saw there a daughter of a certain Canaanite whose name was Shua, and he married her and went into her. So she conceived and bore a son, and he called his name She conceived again and bore a son, and she called his name Onan. She conceived yet again and bore a son, and called his name Shelah. He was a Chezib when she bore him. Then Judah took a wife for his firstborn, and her name was Tamar. But Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord killed him. And Judah said to Onan, Go in to your brother's wife and marry her, and raise up an heir to your brother. But Onan knew that the heir would not be his. And it came to pass when he went in to his brother's wife that he emitted on the ground, lest he should have an heir to his brother. But the thing which he did displeased the Lord, therefore he killed him also. Then Judah said to Tamar, his daughter-in-law, Remain a widow in your house, in your father's house, till my son Shelah is grown. For he said, Lest he also die like his brothers. And Tamar went in and dwelt in their father's house. Now, in the process of time, the daughter of Shua, Judah's wife, died. And Judah was comforted and went up to his sheep shearers at Timnah, he and his friend Hira the Adullamite. And it was told Tamar, saying, Look, your father-in-law is going up to Timnah to shear his sheep. So she took off her widow's garments, covered herself with a veil, and wrapped herself, and sat in an open place which was on the way to Timnah. For she saw that Shelah was grown, and she was not given to him as a wife. When Judah saw her, he thought she was a harlot because she had covered her face. Then he turned to her by the way and said, Please let me come in to you. For he did not know that she was his daughter-in-law. So she said, What will you give me that you may come in to me? And he said, I will send a young goat from the flock. So she said, Will you give me a pledge till you send it? Then she said, What pledge? Then he said, What pledge shall I give you? So she said, Your signet and cord and your staff that is in your hand. Then he gave them to her and went into her, and she conceived by him. So she arose and went away and laid aside her veil and put on the garment of a widowhood. And Judah sent a young goat by the hand of his friend the Adullamite to receive this pledge from the woman's hand, but he did not find her. And then he asked the man of that place, saying, Where is the harlot? Where is the harlot who was openly by the roadside? And he said, There was no harlot in this place. There was no harlot in this place. Then Judah said, Let her take them for herself, lest we be shamed. For I sent this young goat, and you have not found her. And it came to pass about 3 months after that Judah was told, saying, Tamar, your daughter-in-law, has played a harlot. Furthermore, she is with child by harlotry. So Judah said, Bring her out and let her be burnt. When she was brought out, she sent to her father-in-law, saying, By the man to whom this belong, I am with child. And she said, Please determine who these are, the signet and the cord and staff. So Judah acknowledged them and said, She has been more righteous than I, because I did not give her to Shelah my son, and he never knew her again. Now it came to pass at the time for giving birth that, behold, twins were in her womb. So it was when she was giving birth that the one put out his hand, and the midwife took a scarlet thread and bound it on his hand. saying, "This one came out first." Then it happened as he drew back his hand that his brother came out unexpectedly, and she said, "How did you break through? This breach be upon you." Therefore, his name was called Perez. Afterward, his brother came out who had the scarlet thread on his hand, and his name was called Zerah. Now, Joseph had been taken down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, came, a captain of the guard, an Egyptian, bought him from the Ishmaelites who had taken him down there. The Lord was with Joseph, and he was a successful man, and he was in the house of his master, the Egyptian. And his master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord made all he did to prosper in his hand. So Joseph found favor in the sight and served him. Then he made him overseer of his house, and all that he had put under his authority. So it was from the time that he had made him overseer of his house and all that he had, that the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake. And the blessing of the Lord was on all that he had in the house and in the field. Thus he left all that he had in Joseph's hand, and he did not know what he had except for the bread which he had. Now Joseph was handsome in form and appearance, and it came to pass after these things that his master's wife cast longing eye on Joseph, and she said, "Lie with me." But he refused and said to his master's wife, "Look, my master does not know what is with me in the house, and he has committed all that he has to my hand. So there is no one greater in this house than I, nor has he kept back anything from me but you, because you are his wife. How can I do this great wickedness and sin against God?" So it was when she spoke to Joseph day by day that he did not hit her to lie with her or to be with her. But it happened about this time when Joseph went into the house to do his work, and none of the men of the house was inside, that she caught him by his garment, saying, "Lie with me." But he left his garment in her hand and fled and ran outside. So it was when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand and fled outside, that she called to the men of her house and spoke to them, saying, "See, he has brought in to us a Hebrew to mock us. He came in to me to lie with me, and I cried out with a loud voice. And it happened when he heard that I lifted my voice and cried out, that he left his garment with me and fled and went outside. So she kept his garment with her until his master came home. Then she spoke to him with words like this, saying, "The Hebrew servant whom you brought to us came in to me to mock me." So it happened as I lifted my voice and cried out, that he left his garment with me and fled outside. So it was when his master heard the words of his wife spoke to him, saying, Your servant did to me after this manner, that his anger was aroused. Then Joseph's master took him and put him into the prison, a place where the king's prisoners were confined, and he was there in the prison. But the Lord was with Joseph and showed him mercy, and he gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. And the keeper of the prison committed to Joseph's hand all the prisoners who were in the prison. Whatever they did there, it was his doing. The keeper of the prison did not look into anything that was under Joseph's authority, because the Lord was with him. And whatever he did, the Lord made it to prosper. Chapter 40. It came to pass after these things that the butler and the baker of the king of Egypt offended their lord, the king of Egypt. And Pharaoh was angry with his two officers, the chief butler and the chief baker. So he put them in custody in the house of the captain of the guard in the prison, the place where Joseph was confined. The captain of the guard charged Joseph with them, and he served them. So they were in custody for a while. Then the butler and the baker of the king of Egypt, who were confined in prison, had a dream, both of them, each man's dream in one night. And each man's dream with its own interpretation. And Joseph came in to them in the morning and looked at them and saw that they were sad. So he asked the Pharaoh's officers who were with him in the custody of the Lord's house, saying, "Why do you look so sad today?" And they said to him, "We each have had a dream, and there is no interpreter of it." So Joseph said to them, Do not interpretation belong to God? Tell them to me, please." Then the chief butler told his dream to Joseph and said to him, "Behold, in my dream a vine was before me, and in the vine were three branches. It was as though it budded, its blossoms shot forth, and its clusters brought forth ripe grapes. Then Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, and I took the grapes and pressed them into Pharaoh's cup and placed the cup in Pharaoh's hand. And Joseph said to him, "This is the interpretation of it. The three branches are 3 days. Now, within 3 days, Pharaoh will lift up your head and restore you to your place, and you will put Pharaoh's cup in his hand according to the former manner when you were his butler." Amen.